just let you go bust. You know you can't keep going, but you just can't make it stop. A life that's never slowing, on its way up to the top. Why can't it all slow for a moment? Give us all time to breathe. Why don't they know that every GI needs his time on leave? You know deep down this just can't last year after year. So stand up, I can show you how. Hearts of metal still can feel. Hearts of metal still can feel. That's of sorrow still can heal. It's your past that makes you real.
Hello there. How are you? I'm Himawari. Yes, it is I, ready for another wonderful day. Hello. Today is Zatsudan. Zatsudan. Just chatting. Hello, everyone. I am Himawari Kotetsu, and I hope you're having a wonderful day.
Your homesick night in your brighter day. Laughing hearts won't let you stay.
Yes, that's right. It's a little bit later than I normally like to start a stream, but you know what? We'll start a stream now anyway. Why not? I'm on board.
Hearts of metal still can feel. Past of sorrow still can heal. It's your past that makes
Aloha!
you real.
That is what? Is that Hawaiian, Australian? What is that, Hawaiian or Australian? That's something for hello. I'm pretty sure that's Hawaiian for hello. Although it might be Hawaiian for candy bar. I don't know. Man, you used to be. Oh, hold on. Wah! It's me. Hello! Hi! Hello, Oncey. Hello, everybody else who decides to show up as well. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome. Willkommen. Guten Morgen, guten Abend, guten Nacht. Hello. I'm gonna at everyone. At everyone! Secretly. Shh, don't worry, it's fine. Hello, Rezico. I am pretty good. I just got back from Sir Mark Fishbach's new video. Mr. Fishbach. A Korean-German man born in the Americas has made a movie. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that Korean-German Americans can make movies? If you didn't, let me tell you, you're in for a surprise, because there's a lot of them, and some of them make movies. So, I'm doing pretty good. I got some popcorn in my belly. No, I didn't know it was possible. You know, I didn't know either. I didn't know either, Pascal. I didn't know. I heard Mr. Markiplier's a great man. He's a lovely individual, and I have to say, I just got back from his movie Iron Lung, and let's have a moment here where we talk about thoughts on the movie. Now, I know everybody's very excited to hear my opinion as a niche micro-internet celebrity. Oh, I saw that one. Well, I saw it too, just now, because I want to kick Disney's ass. Because a little birdie told me that Disney already pumped a bunch of money into an ad campaign based on the idea that their new Sam Raimi film was the top-grossing film in America for 10 weeks running. And so if Iron Lung gets one weekend of being the top film in America, their advertising campaign isn't going to go through. Which means Disney's going to be out a few $1 million. So I bought a few tickets, actually. and some friends of mine bought a few tickets, and we did our part. Because fuck Disney. You know what I mean, boys? You know what I'm talking about. We're not here for the House of the Rat. We're here for Mr. Iplier. Mr. Iplier. Iplier? Mark Iplier? Mr. Fishback? I have to say, first thing I noticed about the film, Mr. Fishback, tasty, tasty fishback. Wait, but I thought he was German! Get the casual, offensive humor out of the way first, because one of the first things I noticed right off the bat was the actual set design was really good. So it's one of those films where you have very minimal sets. You've got several versions of the main submersible, which is the Iron Lung, the titular Iron Lung. We have a few subtle exterior shots of a space station. We have a corridor shot. We have a room with a tree. Very minimal other sets. But when they do use sets other than the main set, it is very nice. It is very nice. There's a sequence near the end of the movie. I'm not going to be doing spoilers here. I still like the fact that Mr. Markiplier is half Korean. Well, I like the fact that he's half German. So how do you feel about that, huh? I like that he's German. You like that he's Korean. We aren't the same. But yeah, no, they use a few other sets. So it's not just locked in the boat, but it's mostly in the boat. There's some hallucination sets. They've got a corridor crawl as well, which is really nice. What? Why is the text floating past my head just now announcing that I'm like... I see you. You get out of there. You get out of there. Go! 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 So they used a few different sets, and one of the first things I noticed about the main Iron Lung set is that it was actually on a platform. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is, if you guys have seen Galaxy Quest, it is an old 80s, I think it was 80s or 90s. Well, it's based off Star Trek. And the thing that made that special was that they had an actual platform that they would throw the actors around on and slam them about. So they're like, boom, boom, boom. Me throwing myself around the screen, by the way, is to let you know that I want you to understand the difference between an actor throwing themselves and the set actually throwing people. At one point, Mr. Iplier, Mr. Fishback, falls through a chair, and I couldn't tell if he was supposed to have fallen through the chair or if they just fucked up the chair by accident and left it in and then just added it for continuity. Because he takes a fucking tumble and slams his head into a beam, and it looked like it hurt a lot. I don't know. Maybe that was meant to happen in the shot. Maybe he got a concussion. I don't know. I do also know that he was drinking a lot of the artificial blood by accident. Because there's a number of shots where you've got this guy swimming in artificial blood, and it's going in his mouth. And I'm going to tell you, right now, you should not be drinking the artificial blood. You should not be drinking the real blood. There's a lot of hallucinatory segments in the movie that I feel, could give or take. It's an interesting storytelling element here. A lot of the stuff is told through flashbacks, hallucinations, things like that. There is a plot. There is. It sticks very true to the games, which is not game, which is nice. They got the actual writer, developer, programmer of the game for consultation. Mr. Iplier did the writing himself. He hired a bunch of SAG-AFTRA actors, which is genuinely surprising for a YouTuber to wind up going ahead and just actually following union regulations. I mean, I was shocked, right? I'm not used to a YouTuber actually following union regs. It was kind of cool. He even followed some of the regs that, you know, maybe you shouldn't follow, and he paid him the most that he was able to pay them. He paid people a lot of money, which, by the way, $3 million movie, it feels like an $8 million movie. Now, that might not feel like a big difference, but trust me, it can be, right? They did really good with what they had, and what they had was $3 million. It's nice, there's good quality acting. Markiplier has some moments there where he's not quite believable, right? He's not the best actor in the world, but he doesn't have to be. He is serviceable, he is believable, he is functional, right? And I think really, at the end of the day, it's a pretty solid movie. It feels a little bit... Now, Event Horizon is a much different movie, but at points, there are some elements that are clearly inspired by Event Horizon. I don't know why I'm putting my mask on. I was trying to put my hat on. Sorry, Chad, I grabbed the wrong thing. There are some scenes that are clearly inspired by Event Horizon. Again, this is spoiler-free right now. There are some scenes that are clearly inspired by Event Horizon. There's some hallucinatory sequences. There's a lot of audio balancing issues where you have two voices overlapping each other. And I feel the audio engineering needed to be a little bit clearer. They're trying to intentionally disorient you, right? But I do still feel like... How do I put this? Well, I'll just say it. They did a poor job of mixing, and you can't understand either of them, right? There's a sequence where he's talking to another character, and he's hearing a second voice, right? And the second voice is supposed to be drowning out the first voice, but instead you can't hear either of them. So you have Mark's voice, voice 1, and voice 2, and I don't know if it's just that I have bad hearing. I don't know, maybe it is. But I couldn't understand a single word of the movie for about 5 minutes. Now, it is a movie that is 2 hours, 7 minutes long, right? 2 hours, 7 minutes long. It feels like 5 hours in a good way, right? It's not really what I would consider a horror movie, though there are jump scares, there is blood, there are scares, there's psychological thrillers. I'd consider it far more, again, in line with the idea... I'm going to say Event Horizon, even though it's not an Event Horizon movie. There is a lot of blood, but paradoxically, there's not a lot of gore. You know what I mean by that? There is blood, there are organs, but it doesn't feel like gore. It's very reserved at first. It's a slow burn movie that speeds up. It has solid dialogue. Some of the dialogue feels a little bit millennial, but then again, it is written by a millennial. He's trying to go for an authentic form of dialogue here to get a solid back and forth and feel like... At first, the film feels like it's going for every minute of screen time is a minute of the adventure, which is interesting, right? Then we get into some elements that are more like traditionally Lovecraftian, that get implemented over time. There's references to the actual game itself, which go over quite well, and I believe that the performances here are fairly decent. The cinematography has some good balancing. There's some good blending shots where you can see characters from the foreground moving to the background. It is mostly Markiplier standing solo, and you hear the voices of other characters, right? They stuck very true to the game in that regard. A good portion of the movie is just him playing the game, in effect. Although they do clever things with it, there are a number of hallucinations that occur, there are a number of little elements here that do a wonderful job of getting the actual feeling of the environment and the feeling of the world forward. There is information that is relayed to you over the course of the entire film, so you never really feel like there's a scene that doesn't have a point. The information itself is never really preachy, it never really jumps down your throat with the actual way the dialogue is delivered. It does a solid job of getting you to understand the setting, to understand what's going on, while being completely fucking lost. And that is a lovely little balancing act to take. If you've ever seen a YouTuber movie before, you will recognize that YouTuber movies in general have a wonderful feeling of being amateur hour films where somebody just throws themselves in front of a camera, tries too damn hard, and falls flat on their fucking face. Thankfully, Markiplier does not do that. Markiplier actually does some pretty decent acting here. He's not, like, fantastic. It's nothing to super-duper write home about. It feels like a high-budget movie from the 90s. You know what I mean? In a good way, right? Like, it doesn't feel like a modern high-budget movie, but it doesn't have to. It is a one-room film, in effect. There are some sequences that have some exterior shots, but the exterior shots are all handled from the perspective of the interior of that room for the most part. There are some good perspective shots that do wide angle, long view. The proportions on the actual Iron Lung itself change between scenes at times in a way that makes you feel nice and hallucinatory, and the general delivery is very good. The ending itself, I'm not going to again spoil anything about it, but I will say, from a technical standpoint, the practical effects look better than the special effects, but the special effects don't look bad, right? There are, near the end, some cartoony moments where they get into the more Lovecraftian stuff that it just kind of falls slightly short. But I will say, considering he rendered it himself in his bathroom, he did all the physics simulation himself, he did the rendering himself, it turned out really quite lovely, right? And the rendering of the... If you haven't played Iron Lung, I will explain to you right now that the general premise is that you are inside of a submersible that is dropped into a blood ocean, and you are going around a planet, snapping photographs so that you can get recovered. And that story is very much shown in this movie, right? If you played the game, you already know how it ends. One thing I will say I was genuinely surprised is it is the game. But it also adds more onto it in a way that is satisfying. It adds a narrative, it adds a character name. Some of it is too illusory, right? When I say illusory, I'm talking about it's alluded to, rather than told. They hint at a lot of stuff in a way that feels very Scott Cawthon, in a way that feels very horror movie, horror game, which is not a problem at all. Sometimes. But I will say it gets a little artsy, right? It gets artsy. And it's fine. There's good solid visuals. There's some not too subtle sub-messaging here. There's some sub-level messaging about, journeys of faith and self-discovery. It's oddly, I wouldn't say oddly philosophical. It very much has the hallmarks underpinning it of a man's personal journey through faith. And I'm not sure how well that works, right? It feels like a very personal movie, and while that can be good, right, I am not entirely certain how well that works, right? I don't know, genuinely. Because I was watching the film, and I heard a review before I watched the movie that said the movie has moments that are slow intentionally so, where almost nothing is happening. And then as you get towards the end of the film, there is the feeling that you are guilty for having wanted things to speed up. And I can definitely see where they get from that, because it goes from very, very slow, very, very methodical. But I would not say it ever feels boring. It is still a fairly, not speedy movie, but it's a very, intentional pace. I do think that there are some moments that feel almost Reddit, right? There are some Reddit-type moments that just I do not think went over as well as they did in Markiplier's head. But that's fine, right? It's his first movie. And for a first movie, it's a lot better than some people's first movies. Now, I will say he has done Heist with Markiplier. He's done In Space with Markiplier, so he's had some times to get out a bit of the... These days, people, in the modern parlance, they would call it cringe. But I feel like that's doing a disservice to the actual work that was put into it. It does not feel as if it was a film made by a YouTuber. This feels like a mid-budget, real movie. This feels not like a little indie film that could. This feels like an actual proper movie. You feel every single frame of the budget being stretched, but you never realize it's being stretched, right? There is never a point where I'm sitting at the film and I say, this feels cheap. What it does feel like is an intentional movie. And I like that, right? I like that a lot. I do like seeing David's work here, Mr. Zabansky's work. I like seeing Mr. Zabansky's work brought onto the big screen. I like the fact that Mr. Iplier... I like the fact that... Markiplier. That Mr. Fishbog. Mr. Iplier. Let's just go with that. Fuck it. Mr. Iplier! I like the fact that he was willing to commit to this stuff. He takes it seriously. It is not an ironic movie. And my goodness, am I fucking tired of ironic movies. This is a movie that feels actually genuine. It feels like it gives a fuck about what it is, and I like that, right? I genuinely, well and truly like that. And I would say that there is, yeah, even if I told you literally everything that happens in this movie, I am not going to spoil it. What I mean by that is I could literally tell you the beginning, the middle, and the end of this film, and it won't spoil you at all. And that is a good thing. You could have this entire movie shot for shot described to you, and the act of watching it will still be recommended. I say if you can get any chance to watch it, they are going to do some showings overseas. So whether you're in the European Union, whether you're in Korea, Japan, they are trying to expand out. They're getting subtitled versions of the film set up to go together. They are going to be doing attempts at a European release for a few different areas there. There are attempts already being made to get translation work done for a Japanese release. Mr. Iplier had shown a lot of interest in getting that stuff dubbed, getting that stuff, or subtitled. Not dubbed, but subtitled. So we'll see how that winds up going. I am curious to see if he follows Union Protocol for that as well, or if he goes with sort of just like volunteer work. It'll be interesting. Now, the film had a $3 million budget and raked in, I believe right now it's $27 million opening weekend. Is it 27 or 21 million? I think it's 21.7. Iron Lung, I just went to see the movie. Remember how I said I was going to see a movie, Baron? Well, I went and I saw a movie, and I've just given a rough review of the movie. Tell you what you missed with the review of it. My basic thoughts are that it gets a little bit artsy for its own good. It's very good use of the $3 million budget. It feels like a much more expensive movie than it is, and the actual casting direction was pretty good. Markiplier himself is not a great actor, but he's very serviceable, and he holds his own for the most part, right? He works. The child actor that they bring in at one point, it does not work. My goodness, why did you bring in a child actor? I'm so fucking glad that the child actor did not have very many lines. Because it's just why? Like, I get the purpose of the scene, but really? Did you need a child actor? I don't think so. There's a little bit of overlap as well with multiple female characters that sound almost exactly the same talking over each other. So you can't tell what either one's saying, and I couldn't tell if it's supposed to be disorienting or if it's just an accident in the audio mixing. There are a few sequences where the lighting is slightly too dark for you to really tell what's going on. I can tell they're trying to go for a spotlighting effect, but overall, decent cinematography, fairly good script writing, good synergy. When there are multiple characters, the chemistry is decent enough, right? I feel like I like the pacing overall, but I also feel like the ending feels kind of cramped. I feel like the ending needed more space. And I know a lot of people who are doing like reviews and whatnot are saying, "Oh, it's so slow, it's so bad." I'm like, dude, I think your attention's fried by TikTok. Because, like, it was a fairly good pace, a fairly decent sort of clip here. They've got that sort of building atmosphere. It feels less like a horror movie and more like a thriller almost, which is nice. It's nice. There is a good usage of gameplay mechanics. They use all the gameplay mechanics that are there in the original demo and in the full game. Well, not the original demo. The original game and then the updated version of the game. I forget, was that one that had the release on itch.io? It's been a while. But they make use of all the mechanics. I like the outside look. I think the camera system that they have on there is fine, right? The rendering of the world outside fits the game. It doesn't feel cartoony. It doesn't feel cheesy. What I will say is there is a plot line involving the camera that feels forced, right? Like, I get why. There are motifs in this movie, and one of the motifs that they do is the motif of guilt. The idea of guilt, generational sin, personal sin. and we're told, we're not shown. There's a lot of tell, not a lot of show, and the show that is there, it's clear that the budget was straining against it, but it still works, right? There's a lot of times where you'll have a voice talking about the implied background story when I feel like if they had a bigger budget, they would have actually shown something. And it works for what they're going for in terms of a very intimate, locked room sort of movie. But it's also just kind of... I feel like it could have been handled better, but I'm not sure how you would have. You know what I mean? I'm not a film producer. I did not make Iron Lung. Compared to what I would have made, it's probably fucking fantastic. You kidding me? I'm just a guy who watch movie. I watch movie. I enjoy movie. Movie good. Movie good. If you guys have any questions about what I thought about this thing, I'm not sure, like, what more I could really say on it other than practical effects were really good. CG was okay. I did kind of like how they mixed CG with practical. Surprising amount of practical. The makeup was actually really good as well. The costumer. Oh, I can't remember her name. It wasn't like Ray Gun or something, was it? Whatever. Well, the costuming was pretty good. I thought it was weird that at one point, Markiplier just takes his shirt off. There's like several points where Markiplier just takes his shirt off. Yeah, the fan service scene where he took his shirt off and his nipples are on screen for 30 seconds. Yes! Yes, Pascal! Why did they do that? It's a moment of just like... what? Well, it's like, okay, they have a sequence where he takes off his, like, overlayer, right? Love the game, baby! Shirtless Markiplier explains why Hima was so excited to see it. Oh, you know it, girlfriend. You know I love seeing those shirtless dudes. Oh my gosh. I got to see Markiplier shirtless. Oh, he's so handsome. Look at that slab of man meat. No. 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 Yes! Markiplier goes shirtless in this movie multiple times. And there's an extended 30-second sequence where the camera just stares at his man nipples. And it felt awkward. So, like, again, I'm not spoiling the movie here. I'm talking about the movie. There's a sequence where they have, like, reasons. Like, it's so hot in here. There's also Jacksepticeye in the movie as somebody. Jack is on screen wearing a welding mask, and that's it. I'm pretty sure that was Jack. I'm pretty sure that's Jack. He's got, like, one line. I'm not gonna spoil what happens to him, but it's not pretty. It's not even just the shirtless part. It's fucking weird-ass harness he has. Yeah! Because he has the harness underneath his jacket for some reason. Now, I will say they bring the harness back around, and I understand why the harness is there. Pascal, you remember the last scene of the film, right? The very last scene before credits. We're not doing spoiler talk right now, right? But you know that sequence, right? I think the harness is only there for that sequence and also to hide the wires when he's getting thrown around. There's multiple scenes where he gets... Mark goes wild the entire movie. No, not exactly. It is a psychological thriller with horror elements. So the last scene of the movie, he needs to have the harness for you to understand what's happening. And the harness also does a really good job of hiding any wires they needed to have when they're literally just throwing him to the left and to the right of the set. Because they throw that man around. They throw him into fucking walls. They throw him into the ceiling. They drop him from the top of the set to the bottom of the set hard. And you see him make fucking impact. And it looks like it hurt. It looks like it hurt. They beat the fuck out of Markiplier making that movie, and it's good. Hey, if you don't have the money, right? Yeah, no, I believe the harness that he's got in there, The impact felt like they hit. Yes, it's very well done on the choreography. The actual impacts are good. It is a good feeling movie, right? Some of the hallucinatory sequences that they have in there where he's having hallucination moments are kind of rough. It feels like there's about 20 minutes cut out of the film at certain points. Not all at once, right? It feels like there's 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there. That adds up to like 20 minutes of cutting room floor that didn't need to be cut and would have made it more satisfying. That's how it feels at times. At the same time, it already feels like a longer movie than it is in a good way. It's got the tension, it's got the stress, there's some good fear moments. I will say near the end, when we're getting into the psychological horror elements and we're getting into the sort of Cthulhian-type inspired things, the things that are, like, honestly a real part of the game, right? There was some confusion in how they were handling the plot, I think. Some of the visuals get a little bit muddy, where everything's covered in blood and you kind of lose track of the actual actor. There's a bit that feels really cheesy in terms of how they handled it. I feel like it could be re-rendered and do much better. There's a sequence with a submersible being held by a monster, and I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. There are actually several moments where I can't tell what the fuck is going on. Like, okay, I know intellectually what's going on. This is not Old Man Hima doesn't understand the movie. I know exactly what they're supposed to be showing me, right? Because the cinematography language, the actual language of the movie is very clear, very straightforward a lot of the time. There's stuff that is secretive or edgy on first look that is actually, if you take a few moments to think about it, it's not super duper deep. It's deep enough to get you thinking, right? But, yeah, old boomer, okie dokie boomer Hema, go back to the old folks' home. But it's just the cinematography is not clear enough for you to really see what they're trying to get you to do. The camera, no. Yes, it is blurry by design, but the redesign on the monster makes it hard to see what you're supposed to see. And the sequence with the other submersible is a pain in the ass because it's too blurry, and the redesign they did is hard to understand what you're looking at. I realize they're going for the Cthulhian aspect with it, but it still is not good visually for if you want a clarity of what you're seeing, right? That said, there's a sequence later in the film. I'm not going to go into the exact context of when or why. There is a moment with an actual entity that is seen. The graphics on it are fine. At times, though, during that sequence where they're doing some of these close cuts, I think they could have done with a little bit more linger, and they could have done with a slightly different approach to the angles they were using on there, because the design language on it itself makes it confusing, but you can see what the scene was going for, right? And much like the other bits, there are some moments that feel inspired by Berserk in terms of the actual design language on some bits. I feel like there is genuinely a good bit of passion behind it, and the design itself feels, well, the dialogue in the section leading up to that feels very inspired by Event Horizon. Heavily inspired by the cut dialogue of Event Horizon, to the point where it seems, very inspired. We will say that. Very, very, very inspired. Yeah. It starts to feel like it's rushing and cramming itself together near the end of the movie. I like the resolution. I do get that sort of 80s movie feel for how they handle the ending, because the end of the movie is a sort of like static shot, right? Static shot, slight pan, lighting, credits, right? Very easy to just see what's going on there, but the lead up to it is very much a blur, which is supposed to be the sort of hallucinatory bit, and I'm not sure how I feel it. You know what I mean? They go through some stuff that's like introduced and resolved. Sentence 1 introduces thing, sentence 2 resolves thing, so why did we have thing? You know what I mean? Like, he's preempting that they're gonna have a problem with a sequence, so he's solving the problem before your brain has time to understand the problem was there. There's a few sequences of that. Again, shirtless Markiplier was not something I needed to really see. Shirtless Markiplier felt weird. Also, there was some design language visually that was a bit confusing. Yeah. How do I put this? Because I don't want to spoil things, but I also want to talk about how fucking confusing some of it was. There's a sequence that implies the potential of like a closed time loop. Shirtless Markiplier only awakened confusion in me, okay? And not sexual confusion. I was just like, why are we focusing on this? And then I remembered, when I sat down in the theater, the row behind me was filling up with teens. There were a lot of teens hanging out. And one of the girls just goes, I can't believe we're going to go goon at the Markiplier movie. And I'm just sitting there. And I sit in my chair. And I stare at the fucking floor. Then I just slowly turned around. I'm like, the fuck? You mean you weren't No, I was not. I did not go to goon at Iron Lung. You're not going to get me the t-shirt that says, I gooned at Iron Lung and all I got was this stupid t-shirt and also 5 months in jail. No. No. Actually, surprisingly packed theater. They had one of the... Okay, so the showings that they had at the theater we went to, they had 3 screenings. There were 3 different theaters showing the movie. They had the small one and the 2 largest theaters. No, I did not goon to Marky Mark nor his Funky Bunch. I saw Iron Lung, and for some reason, Mark spends like a 30-second extended sequence shirtless. For some reason. Fucking hell. But, so, it's maybe a time loop. It's maybe not a time loop. I don't know. Because it's not really clear, and the audio engineering doesn't make it any easier to understand, right? Yes, anytime you're dealing with potential time loops or confusing plot lines like that, you're going to have some issues. You, of course, are not necessarily going to have everything just, like, warped out and ready for you on the bot. But I'm still gonna say, the fuck were they going for with the, like, 3 voices all overlaid over each other? In what world did that ever turn out as a grand old sequence? I'll tell you, in the world where they had the balancing just right, where you fade, I think they needed to fade the woman on the speaker's voice. If you've seen the movie, you've seen it. If you reduced the vocal balance on the woman on the speaker and let the other woman's voice be louder, I think it would have been better. But as it is, because they're at the same audio level, I couldn't fucking understand them. I can't even tell you what they were fucking saying, except... Oh, sorry, let me get the appropriate filter here so you guys can understand part of why I can't really tell you what they were saying. Hold on. Oh, sorry. There's also this part too. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I can't actually activate that at the same... Now overload both of those onto the same thing, right? So you have the speaker tinny voice, and then you have the echoey voice. and they're both talking at the same time, at the same level, and then you also have Markiplier's voice, and you'll understand why I can't fucking tell you what they were saying during the fucking extended monologue between 3 characters. No filter heard. What do you mean, no filter heard? You couldn't hear the weird echo? Echo. Echo. You can't hear that? There's no echo here? No? No filter? None. Well, wait, how is there not a filter? Is the filter there now? Is now there a filter? Because I hear the filter. It's in my ears. Oh, I had it on monitor instead of... Yeah, no, imagine you've got like one voice doing this sort of filter, where she's going... And you got another voice... And you got Markiplier going, wait, no, I can't, And now you got all 3 of those overlaid. Now imagine that. And you can see why I don't know what the fuck he was saying. Because there's like a little speaker system, and like...
Everybody's talking to you over the speakers. Hello, welcome to your new lifetime job in the Iron Lung. You're here now, and, you're stuck. So, get wrecked. You're gonna die.
And then there's like another character who starts with the... and then goes to... And then there's another voice that's just the grave mind. And it's like, okay. Alright. I do recommend people watch it. I think that it's only showing like this week, and then they're gonna do like international showings after this. I know a few of the theaters were talking about extending their showings of it, because apparently it's been doing really well for the theaters. Oh, hi, Kerman! I talk about movie! For the last 42 minutes I've talked about movie, and I haven't told a single spoiler yet. I don't think. Oh, sorry, I did tell a spoiler. Markiplier goes shirtless in like a 30-second sequence where it oddly just focuses on his nipples. That's a sequence in the movie. Yeah. There's another sequence where they almost drown Markiplier in blood. There's another sequence where they slam Markiplier against a metal beam, and he looks like he got a fucking concussion. It was great. And there's another scene where they drop Markiplier from the roof of a building. That's a sequence. There's a lot of sequences. The movie does not like Markiplier. I don't know why. The movie keeps hurting Markiplier a lot. But yeah, no, it's, overall, if I had to give a rating on this, the problem with giving any sort of numerical rating is that you have to kind of understand what your basic rating system is, and as somebody who doesn't regularly review movies, doesn't see a ton of movies, my ballpark for these things is not going to be hyper accurate, right? I look at a lot of these things from just the personal perspective of somebody who enjoys movies, and maybe my taste in movies is bad because I enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy's 2, right? It's a sign of a good movie. Which actor in a good movie hasn't ended up hurting themselves? Well, let me tell you, Markiplier drank a fuck ton of that fake blood, and he really probably should not have. There's an entire sequence where he is literally drowning in fake blood. And I'm going to be honest, I hope he wasn't actually drowning in it, but man, it kept going into his mouth. And I'm sitting there like, buddy! Okay, so FNAF, okay, let's take a moment here, because, why am I talking about FNAF 2 in the same breath as Iron Lung? Because I group them mentally together, right? They're both lower budget movies. Now, despite having a much larger budget, FNAF 2 at some points feels like a lower budget movie than the movie Iron Lung because it tries to push itself further than its budget. Iron Lung is very much a one-room movie that accepts its limitations and uses them to the maximum of their ability, right? Iron Lung does a fantastic job of hardcore leaning into its own abilities, right? It does a good job. It's a solid experience. FNAF 2 is a movie, again, I'm not directly comparing these because I think that they don't even feel like the same genre, right? FNAF 2 is a kid's horror movie with minimal blood and a story that feels like it had its third act cut. Iron Lung is a tight thriller that feels like it had about 20 minutes at most cut from various points in the film, and it just has a solid-ish beginning, middle, and end with some weird tell, don't show philosophy, which is fine on its own. Not everything has to be show, don't tell. But with FNAF 2, the issue that I ran into with it is the very simple thing that by the time you feel like the movie's starting for FNAF 2, it's over, right? FNAF 2 has a lot of lore elements, explanations, things that I think are really good for members of the community who enjoy it. It is not a great movie in the traditional sense, but it's a fine movie, right? I came into that, and I walked away happy. I enjoyed the FNAF 2 movie. Can I say that it is a great film? No. It is a cheesy... FNAF 2 is a cheesy 90s movie made today. Iron Lung is a high-budget 90s movie made today. That's also why I group them together, right? Does that make sense, chat? Neither one of them feels like a 2026 movie. There are some moments in the dialogue of Iron Lung that feel like a 2026 movie. Iron Lung, despite being a low-budget film, feels like a high-budget film from 40 years ago. Or would that would be 30 years ago. I'm not quite... Yeah, no, like 30 to 40 years ago. Not in the sense of like ultra high budget, but like mid to high budget, right? It's got that sort of feel. I like the fact that it's got the practical effects. I like the fact that it uses the blood fairly well. Some of the costuming is really, really good. Others are okay. Hello, Kimberly. Welcome in. Happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy. Hope you're enjoying your New Year. Hope you're enjoying your New Year. Hope you're enjoying your New Year. So what I'm saying with that is the Iron Lung movie has a good sort of... Only one set. Well, okay, so there are technically more than one set, right? There's the area outside of the Iron Lung that you get to see through the main window, right? Happy to see you as well, Kimberly. There's the window you get to see. There is the hallway set on the space station. There is the tree room set that has the Eden tree or whatever the hell it was from the flashbacks. And there's also the underset where they have that little like crawl space that he goes through during that other sequence. And I would say that each of them is used fairly well. I do find it... I really don't like some of the ways they handle their lore, though. Or even how they handle some of those areas, right? Because they're trying to handle stuff as, like, off-screen slight side explanation, right? Like, his entire backstory... I'm going to say this thing right here, right now. His entire backstory... It's there... And it's handled through hallucinations, flashbacks, one item that's handed to him through a sequence of events, and it's kind of just you're told to care rather than shown why you should, except for the flashbacks. And I feel like the flashbacks, if you're going to do the way of storytelling that they are, where it's like being whispered to you, by doing a visual flashback, you either kind of want to do all visual or no visual, right? Because like if we're doing a hard cut stylistic thing where we're just seeing him, seeing the area, we didn't need to see the kid actor's face, right? We didn't need to see the tree. We didn't need to see the sky with the stars and whatnot. We didn't need to see a lot of that. And showing it only on some of the bits, but not showing the other bits, right? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Is that nitpicky? Well, of fucking course it is. I'm talking about this on a live stream, and I want to at least stretch this out a little bit, right? I do think that what lore they did put in, kind of nice, you know? I like expanding the world. I like expanding the setting. I do find the way they handle the reasons that he's down there pretty interesting. I don't like how heavy-handed it can be. Okay, let me actually talk about a story spoiler here. It's not like a massive one, but it is a story spoiler. So, how do I phrase this with doing minimalizing spoilers? Well, actually, you know what? I'll just say it this way. There's a lot of sequences where people say, you deserve this, you belong here. Right? And they just say that. You deserve this, you belong here. Is said by like 5 different characters as a recurring motif. And it just keeps showing up. And I get that it's a story about guilt, but did you have to hammer it in so heavy? And there's an extended monologue about how bad he is and how much of a butcher he is and how terrible he is and how everyone hates him, yada, 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 yada. And it's like, because we have it again and again and again. Simon the Butcher! Simon the Butcher! Simon the Butcher! Where's the blacksmith? No, they didn't say that. There's a few conversations that just come from different characters. A lot. There's the conversation of, you deserve this. There's the, fuck you! Which, you know, that one you can understand, right? But the, you deserve this, which is supposed to be building up towards a heroic sacrifice type thing. I get that, right? Crowbarred in. I'm trying to remember, because I'm trying to work through this before I forget it. That's why I don't care if I go to spoilers at this point. Spoiler time! So there is the... Oh, there's the you deserve this, there's the you betrayed me, there's the you promised. Let's actually just go the step-by-step. Okay, so going into a step-by-step territory on this. I don't think it'll even hurt you knowing this, by the way, with the movie. I think the visuals hold it up. I think the actual experience of watching it holds it up, right? I don't think you're going to be hurt by hearing the spoilers here. So, movie starts with him already down in the depths. And he goes through some basic gameplay and gets brought back up to the surface, and we get to actually see out through the main window. We get introduced to the general setting here. It is a solid introduction to the world itself around there. However, you have he's panicking because he thinks he found something down there. They're excited. They're telling him that they're going to send him back down, right? But they have this whole sequence where I think it's Jacksepticeye who's doing welding on there. And he flaps the camera, right? Was he the one prisoner, was he one of the prisoners that sabotaged one of the 3 remaining space stations that got a lot of people killed? Okay. The whole fucking thing with him, I'll get into that, right? But I'm going, in order of what the film shows us. Because it starts to drip feed, and then it just hammers it into your fucking skull. It hammers it into your fucking skull. Once it starts telling you, it just goes bam, 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 bam. Did you realize? Bam, 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 bam. We're deep. So he's up there, and he's panicking, and he's saying, you lied to me. You told me I can get out of here, right? And then he uses the camera system, and they all panic, and one of the guys is screaming. Things happen. It's a solid sequence, and he realizes that it's an X-ray machine, and he blasted him with radiation from the X-ray machine. I don't know if Mr. Iplier fully understand how X-ray. I don't know. Because everyone's panicking and the welder guy's like, I got tumors now. Oh no, you're a monster. You're a bad person. You deserve to be down here. And there's this woman, and he ruins her eye, and then later there's a monster with a ruined eye, and it's maybe all cyclical, and maybe it's not. everything where I follow shit and then I don't follow shit. You know what I mean? Don't worry, I'm also intentionally trying to describe this poorly. So again, you go watch the movie instead. Watch the movie. Listen to me here and then watch the movie. But he's going back down and they tell him to do something, right? But we're still getting the whole, like, you get a different voice that comes in. You've got the voiceover, of course, at the beginning that's telling about what happened with the quiet rapture and whatnot. If you played the game, you'll understand that. But they send him back in and tell him to, like, slam things in. That's not how X-ray works, but I can reasonably believe the X-ray is super juiced up. Regular cameras don't work in solid blood. Well, they say regular cameras don't work in solid blood. Okay, fair enough. So they have to use X-rays. Fair enough. Why does it instantly give the guy super turbo ultra cancer? And give cancer to everybody and destroy the one woman's eye and also do all this other stuff? Because, like, he hits the button because he just wants to see what's going on out there. And he gets, like, an X-ray of all of them there. But it also burns her fucking face. And I'm pretty sure X-rays don't burn people's faces like that. But okay. Sure. And we find out, like, through things that, yeah, he is one of the... So, they don't seem to have it as sabotage, right? So there's the 3 stations, right? He is the guy from the game. Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a little... It's very heavy-handed. And he's, like, immediately apologizing. And it's very clearly to show that Mark can do the acting of the every guy who just messed up. There's a lot of lines that are, hey, look, this is authentic. This is how someone would actually act. It's like, I don't want to see how someone would actually act in my movie. I want to see a movie. You know? I want to see a movie. Play it up a little bit. It's fine. But don't, like... It's weird. So, like, he's going back down, right? And he sees something, and he's not sure what it is. Later, we find out there's time loop shenanigans. But he sees a thing, right? He sees a thing. And he goes to check it out. As this guy's talking about it, it's like, well, you just don't have hope. And you need to have hope and hope and hope. Hope, 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 hope. And let me tell you about this. I'm a good guy, and he's having like a back and forth conversation with him. And the second that Mark's character goes, hey, shut up. Because he thinks there's someone else in the boat. The guy immediately goes, fuck you! Maybe you do deserve to be in there! I hope you die down there! You're terrible and awful! And it's like, okay. So remember how you were trying to act like this is how actual people actually work? So to follow that up with a sequence where somebody's like, hey, I think someone's in the ship with me. And you immediately go, fuck you! I hope you die down there! And it's like, that's... okay. Okay. That's a bit... It's a very weak moment. And the thing is, I notice the weak moments because a lot of the other moments are very strong, right? Like, we're gonna get into the weeds here with some of this stuff, but it stands out as a weak moment because the other moments are so strong. And because, again, if they hadn't have worked so hard up to that point to have everyone act as authentically as possible, the guy freaking out in a weird moment and a weird way, the reason why he does that is so we can have an excuse for him not wanting to talk to the guy, and we can build up that guilt narrative so we can have a redemption arc at the end, right? That's clear that that's why they do it, but the way they handle it is a very poor handling of the scenario, right? It's poor. I know it, you know it, we all know it. Alright? I'm just saying, it is a poor handling. It's not well done, right? And it's sad that it's not well done. Because it is right after being well done. I feel like you could have just as easily edited around that. Yeah, you won't be getting your big, he's an asshole, yada yada, but I think it's also supposed to be showing that the whole thing was cyclical and planned from the start. They do this whole sequence, right? Where they have the radiation camera. And they get angry at him. And so they hard drop him. And that doesn't super make sense either. Hey, look at that. We got like a... What's that? Why is there a purple light up there? Did somebody just sub? Why is it notifying me that you've got 3 of 10 subs? What? Did we have somebody new sub? What? What? Oh, shit! Fuck!
Subscribed for 10 months. He like P.
Why did that get me? I think because it was nothing, and then suddenly loud noises. You know, that feels kind of like actually the movie in some regards. But yeah, no, they do the whole, they do the whole, like, weird radiation thing. And then she's just hard drop him. And it's like, okay, so if you're hard dropping him into the water, why? I can't remember if they added that into the actual game, because like some of this stuff, I'm sitting there watching it in the theaters, and I'm like, that's familiar. The hard drop's like odd. I get sending him down to the sample and die. I can understand he like shoots the cancer cannon and hit the guy's head. Why waste? Yeah, why waste it? You're supposed to only have like 1 or 2 of these things, right? And they tell him that he's the first person down there. He's the second person. If you've ever played the game, you know he's the second person. He's not the first. Because there's an entire thing you discover down there that's like another ship thing, right? But they like hard drop him, and he wakes up, he's got the other guy who's talking back and forth. And again, Mark, we're getting back to where I was there because I realized I skipped some stuff, and I'm bad at storytelling, all right? But Mark's character's sitting there, and he sees something while the guy's talking about this hope and how we need to have hope, and we have to have hope, and we're gonna have hope, and we've got hope. And you can't just be so nihilistic, and you guys just don't understand that we need to have hope. Which is all, of course, setting up for, like, the end of your film. It very much telegraphs where it's going, but I think that's intentional because they're setting up for some sort of time loop thing. When he sees the other guy on his ship, it's in the same position he's in later, but he sees it as a monster, and then he sees himself from earlier as a monster, and it's maybe cyclical. I don't fucking know. It's weird. But it's fun watching in the moment, right? All of this, I feel no problems explaining it to you guys, because when you're watching it, it's great in the moment. Was it due to even game lore not knowing much what tech was in the sub? Computer was hidden? Okay, the computer's hidden in this as well. So after his second drop, he's messing around in the dark, and he recognizes, while he's like pounding on the wall, he recognizes a symbol, he opens it up, it's a guy from, well, there is a lot of lore that's already written out, right? The terminal is in the game, right? And you can get all the lore that gets in the movie. Instead of doing dialogue where it's just text on screen, they replace it with actual, like, voice-acted audio, right? But all of the stuff that's in the terminal, if you've played the video game, you'll know exactly what's in the terminal, because it's in the movie, too, in almost the exact same way, right? But they do a hard drop, he gets knocked unconscious, he wakes up, he's down there, and he discovers the actual, like, panel there, and it's got a little bit of text that says, cross the wires. What's weird to me is that later in the movie, there's a voice that says, all I did was tell you to cross the wires, which is just like a hallucinatory voice in his head. But it feels like it was from a scene that got cut. There's a few things in the hallucinatory stuff that feel like they're from a scene that we just had fucking cut. And I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, or it's supposed to be implicating that he was being manipulated the whole time. But he finds a sign that leads him to a seed that's trapped in resin of a tree. And they're doing some symbology shit with that. It's cool symbology, right? But they do have the terminal, right? And they have the background stuff, and we find out about his, like, history and whatnot. He keeps saying that it's not his fault. He tried to stop the guys. It's not his fault, it's not his fault, it's not his fault. And it does get old, but it is very much, when you're watching the movie, any of these complaints that I'm bringing up here, they don't feel like it. I imagine there's a cut scene where he had like a cross the wires moment on the station he blew up. Well, that's the implication, right? Like, from the way the dialogue's handled, they imply that he didn't want to blow up the station, had to betray the other people that he was working with in order to save the station, then he got screwed over, right? Fine. Fine. In the game and in the movie, they have the super high-tech sub that they send the first time to check things out. Then they have the prisoner sub that they send the second time, right? That's fine. They have him activating the terminal. They have him getting this basic information. They have the revelation over and over again. They do this almost exact same sequence multiple times where, hey, so you're gonna when I do this thing, you're gonna get me out, right? Well, no, we're not gonna get you out. You deserve it. There's a whole monologue at one point as well, where they talk about how, you ever think that the quiet rapture isn't every other planet vanishing, it's just our stations vanishing? Which is supposed to be a reference to a game theory thing, I'm pretty sure. Although it could also just be telling you the lore there. And the movie has a solid flow while you're watching it. It's one of those where the more you mull on the movie, which is why I don't recommend mulling it, just watch it, have fun. It's a fairly affordable show, and you're gonna get the weekday prices as well. If you have it near you, highly recommend it. If you get the opportunity, watch it, right? I don't know if they're gonna do a physical release. I don't know if they're gonna do a streaming release. If you can watch it, watch it. It's worth it, right? At the end of the day, that's my big review with all of this, before we even, like, hit the spoiler stuff we're doing right now. Because right now I'm trying to work through this stuff and figure out, like, man, what was going on with some of that stuff? Because we figure out that he was, over the course of the movie, yeah, 3 million in, 9 million out? No. 3 million in, 21.7 million out. Pascal, 21.7 as of yesterday. Now it's closer to 30 million. Over 21.7 million before counting in today's ticket sales. And they're closing in on $30 million opening weekend. Yeah, no, not 9 million out. It is the top grossing movie in the United States this weekend across the entire country. And I'm hoping it stays that way so it screws over Disney. But, like, they have this whole sequence where he chases himself, right? So when he hits down, they do the drop, he sees himself, he doesn't realize it's himself, it looks like a monster, right? He chases after that, he finds the panel, he opens it, and there's a tree sapling captured in glass, right? They have hints of the actual religion, they describe it in these loose whispers, right? There's a lot of stuff they go through the whispers. Because a lot of stuff, like, it doesn't, when you're watching it, it doesn't feel bad, right? I'd love to see a return to low-budget films with practical effects. Well, you need that. We can't do the high budget. Let's be honest here. The blockbuster is a thing that started in the 80s. Most movies, for most of cinema's history, have not been high-budget blockbusters, all right? The most profitable era in cinema was not crazy high-budget films. It was... Okay, when we looked at the golden age of cinema, where everyone was making movies, those were low-budget films where they made a fuck ton of them that had short run times and a good return on investment. Because the more of a product you put out, the more chance you have one or two of them that do really fucking well. You make them with a low budget. You make them with what you can for practical. And you get your return as quickly as you can. Let's be fair here. In a world with what are we, like 10 billion people on the planet now? Although I guess China and a bunch of other places are mass genociding their people, so we'll probably be more down to like 7 billion again. But in a world with billions of people, right? Billions of people. If you have a multi-million dollar film that's under like $20 million, it's going to be a lot easier to get your budget back than a $1 billion film. Because if there's only so many billion people, right? And you know you're only going to get a fraction of them who watch the movies, we need to return to those lower budgets, but we need to figure out a way to make use of those lower budgets. And how do you do that? Well, you get less actors in the film, you get smaller environments, and you pump that height. Okay, instead of having 30 fucking sets that are massive piles of money, right? If you take a massive pile of money for one set, maybe 3 sets, that right there is already going to save you a fuck ton of money. If you're cutting a bunch of the side actors, because Iron Lung has Markiplier's character, it has, I can't remember his name, the voiceover guy. So you have one actor for voiceover, you have one actor for Markiplier, you have one actor for a woman, you have one actor for the welder, you have one actor for the extra voice, so that's 6. You have one actor for the other submarine, so that's 7. I think there's like 8 actors total. Because you got the kid. Well, you have other like extras. So there's like 8, 9 actors total. That's not like a massive cast. You can make a film like that fairly cheap. And let's be fair here, right? Again, the mega blockbuster is a thing that was kind of just from like Jaws and whatnot, and they were supposed to be events. They were called a blockbuster because they filled out the entire block, and you needed to fill out the entire block if you were going to get your money back. Having 1 or 2 of those mega budget films, well, that's fine. But if you have a ton of them all the time, people can't afford to see them all the time, right? What you need to do is have smaller movies with a, well, not even smaller movies. Well, no, yeah. You can have that budget level of concentration where you're spending the same amount of money per set, but by making it a smaller film where it's 1 or 2 sets, you reuse what you can, you use the actors you can, you pay the actors, you can still, because Markiplier paid a fuck ton to his actual staff, he paid everybody very well, he treated them very well, he had worked on a fairly laid-back budget, he did stuff himself as well, and it worked out, right? And he didn't even have it published. He called manually to the various studios, right? Or not studios, theaters. He called the theater chains. He had other people call the theater chains. He did this without actually going through one of the major studios. He, instead of buying the movie rights to Iron Lung, he walked up to Mr. Zip. I can't say his fucking name. I know it. I can't remember it. I know it's Zesmiak? Zesmiak? Because it's SZ, so Zesmiak. Zemziak? Shit. But he went up to the guy, and he asked him to work with him. Not just buy the rights, actually work with him and make something good. He's shown that you don't need a lot of this stuff, and that's why I'm saying right now Markiplier didn't kill himself. So, anything I say with this is, remember, it's a low-budget film. It does really good. It feels higher budget than it ever was. This does not feel like a... I've said it before, I'll say it again. For anyone who wasn't here before. This does not feel like a $3 million film. This feels like a $10 million film. Alright? This feels like a $10 million film. Which it making $30 million is great, right? Now, so they have this whole sequence, right? So, your main character there is a guy who was involved in the destruction of a station. They have this religious element where they have these guys who believe that there's an Eden tree, which is in the game as well, right? If you've played the game, you'll know about those guys who are like the people from Eden Station, and they blow up a station, right? I'm just going to skip around a bit. I'm not going to do your full play-by-play, watch the fucking movie, but there's a sequence in the film where he runs into another character who's talking about a god that looks through the world through a dim crack and thinks it understands everything. And I think it's the moment that he runs into that other submersible that the movie kind of falls apart a bit for me because of how that's handled, even if it is accurate, right? Because at the beginning of the film, or at the beginning of the game, you know how there's that letter where the guy's like, I'm going to ascend, I won't be here anymore. Instead, that's an audio log, right? Of like the prior guy who was there. And he... There's a weird Cthulhian monster in an alternate dimension that he's talking to, and it might be time-traveling demon thing, and there's a thing that claims to be God, and there's people begging him to save the black box data, and people who are begging him to destroy the black box data, and he has a series of hallucinations that feel weird in terms of how they're handled, but they work out visually, right? And if you're just watching it yourself, it's not going to feel as bad, but man, thinking about it, the more, it's one of those films where I would not recommend you hyperanalyze it. right? I would recommend you go and you watch it, you have fun, right? That's part of what I meant when I said this feels like a high-budget 90s schlock, right? Because with a lot of those, if we sit here and we hyper-analyze Sleepaway Camp, rather than just going, that's a penis! If you know, you know. If you've ever seen Sleepaway Camp, you'll know that the movie ends with the reveal that that's a penis. That's the end of that movie, by the way. The big reveal in that movie. Spoilers for a 1980s or 1990s film. That movie has the best way to describe the ending of that movie is just the phrase, that's a penis. And it's not a spoiler you'll understand, which is why I don't consider it a spoiler, right? Once you've seen the movie, you'll know what that means. Or if you saw the sequel, where they have that weird sing-along where it's, I'm a happy camper, I love the summer sun. Or they're just doing like they're doing like a rework of the I'm a Southern Soldier. For some reason. But like, it feels like one of those where it's like, yeah, you get some cool moments, you get some bits that feel kind of weirdly out of character, but if you're just going in and you're enjoying it as a nice, like, it's not a super scary movie. It's not even a gross movie, really. It's just a fun movie, right? So, like, there's a sequence where Mark rips his arm off, and the CG transition to makeup is very well done, right? Him tearing his arm off slowly from there, it doesn't feel like a gross-out sequence. It feels like a triumphant sort of, like, build-up to a human, like, a sort of, like, self-sacrifice moment, right? It feels like a big build-up where you have this, like, overly telegraphed sequence that still feels fairly satisfying. You know what I mean? Because it is telegraphed to hell and back, right? It is way too telegraphed that he's going to do, like, heroic sacrifice shit. But when you're watching the actual sequence, by the time you've got that, like, actively in your head, you get a really good experience overall. Because it builds up to it. I feel like if you didn't have the call forward, if you didn't have the amount of foreshadowing that you did, if they didn't do that weird time travel shit. So there's a sequence near the end of the film where you have, again, at the start of the film, you have him see the monster go around the corner, right? Near the end of the film, you see him peek out around the corner and he sees a monster sitting at the desk. The implication there being that he was in both places and this is a fucking time loop somehow. And there's a whole hallucinatory sequence that I'm not going to get into because I don't want to ruin it. But the entire later bit of the movie is... It's got a lot that they're trying to go for it, and I applaud them for trying. But man, the way it goes out, I wish it was better. That said, I would watch this movie like 5 times again. You know that? Any complaints I have about this, I would still watch this movie 5 times over, right? I legitimately fucking would. Because the sequence where he sees the weird eldritch abomination horror from another dimension, despite the fact that I don't like necessarily the design they went with, I like the little frog guy. Have you guys ever seen the frog from the game? I kind of wish... Okay, it wouldn't work for what he's doing as a writer, director, actor. It wouldn't have worked. But I think... Hold on. Frog, monster, iron lung. I think if instead of the design they went with... Because this thing... Okay. I want to show you this, right? I want to show you this fucking thing. So, this is the PNG that attacks you in Iron Lung, right? I'm going to show you guys the PNG from the game, not the movie, alright? What the fuck are you? Hold on. Oh, fucking hell. I hate that shit. Save image as... .png. There we go. Let's see if that works. Will it even load, or do I need to grab a different render of it? I hate how people do this shit, you know that? I hate how people do that shit. Let me show you what this guy looks like, alright? Because he's goofy as fuck, and I know they made him more serious in the movie, but I kind of wish they had gone with the goofy dude. All right, let me show you this little guy. Let me show you this little guy. So this is the little guy that in the video game winds up killing you, okay? That's not a spoil. That's not really like a spoiler. It's this thing from the game, right? In the video game, hold on. Is this little frog dude? Hold on. Is this little guy? It just looks like a fucking like anglerfish or some shit. Look at him. Look at him. Look at that guy. Tell me in your big budget movie, seeing that guy. Instead they kind of made it like a weird skeleton, kind of, and it's scarier. There's like eldritch stuff with it, and it's weird. It's like it's weird, I guess. It works, but it's not my weird ass giant frog. I like the weird ass giant frog thing. The giant frog thing's cool. It's kind of like you're getting attacked by an anglerfish, you know? It's kind of like you're getting attacked by an anglerfish. They made the teeth so much larger. Well, the teeth is much larger. They made it so that it's... I don't know. They made the teeth larger. They made it more skeletal. They made it more scary, right? I get it. They made it more scary, but I feel like the act of making it more scary made it less scary. As stupid as that sounds. You know what I mean? Making it more scary almost made it less scary. Because they give the hyper detail, and then it just feels like a Cthulhian monster more than anything. It feels kind of like something out of Dusk. Which I guess, you know, they're brothers, so... But it feels like something out of Dusk, right? It feels more Dusk, and it feels less Iron Lung, and that's not necessarily a problem, right? I'm not going to show you, like, what the monster looks like. I do think, like, in motion, it looks really good in motion. There's a whole sequence where they have this really weirdly, like, Berserk-inspired sequence where he's, like, face-to-face with this eldritch thing, right? They did some really cool set design after he comes face-to-face with the monster thing, because they do this whole, like, slow progress where over the course of it, it's not the same exact set all the time. Things change as it goes, so you get, like, there's bandage piles, or, like, the fucking weird-ass, I don't know why the blood started acting like the goo from Soma. You guys know Soma, right? Has everybody here played Soma before? Chat. Pascal, maybe you can back me up on this. Why did they make the blood into the Soma juice? There's blood that shows up on the inside of the ship, and it acts like the Soma juice. Wow. The stuff that WoW puts over everything, right? And there's a big sequence that feels like it's straight from Soma. Like, I get you take your inspiration and whatnot, but the blood acting like living goo is weird. Oh, well, like, I get why they're doing, because they have that whole sequence where he's staring at the veins in the blood that are leading back to the monster, which is supposed to be showing you the visual. Okay, so the visual language of that design is telling you that he is the blood ocean, and that this is the demonic entity that is trying to choke out the life. The fact that the monster repeatedly says, "You must destroy the light! The light must never resurface! We must stop the light!" is very like, it's very heavy-handed. It's demons, right? It's just fucking demons. Like, it's so fucking heavy-handed that he's going up against that it's obviously a demon. It's obviously connected to all the blood. It's hammered into your fucking skull. Again, even when I'm saying this, I do still recommend watching the movie, because when you're watching it, this isn't the thing you're going to be thinking, right? Shut your brain off when you sit down. Turn it on to just the show and enjoy, right? It's great in that regard. But there's this whole, like, the ending bit. It's repeatedly saying over and over again through the dialogue. And it feels tense, but at the same time, yeah. because it just keeps saying, bury it, bury it, bury it. The moment there were, like, a blood drop cuts his forehead was strange, like it was some kind of acid. Well, the implication there is that he's not himself. That's also why they had the, we lost contact with you for 2 days, you should be dead. And you'll note that the more blood gets into the cabin, the more oxygen there is. And they had the mention that they'd already discovered that they could grow plants using blood. If you're listening to the background dialogue, let's actually go to an in-depth moment here. So when I was listening to this, I heard the dialogue that they were doing in the background, and it's very clear from their dialogue, although I wish they would have actually shown this instead of just having it in background audio that you can miss. They have characters discussing about the religious philosophy of the organization that Markiplier's character comes from, how there is no soil in space, and they were using the bodies of people in order to create soil to grow trees. Because the one group killed their tree, and then the other group wanted to turn their bodies into soil to grow another tree. And you have, like, the last tree, and the weird god entity gets really fucking pissed off that the station that had one of the trees got blown up, right? And it starts lashing out at him because it wants to get hold of that station. It's very clear that there's demonic entities and whatnot. I do think that at the end of the day, because they have the discussion of the soil, they have the mention that they can use blood to create extra oxygen. And that as the blood is getting into the ship, it's creating more oxygen and keeping him alive. Because he runs into the other ship, right? That may exist or may not exist, because he has this whole hallucinatory moment where he sees that the thing's unplugged. But then he relies on the fact that he knows it's unplugged, and he can't be talked to by somebody else, but then it's not unplugged. It's plugged in. And he makes a deal with a voice that says, would you do anything to survive? He literally gets the deal that was offered by Gary in... I can't remember the name of the game. It's got Mortis. I can't remember the fucking name of the game. What's the name of the game? It's got Gary. It's... Gary. It's got, you play the pastor. Atari style graphics. I played it on stream. What the fuck was it? Mortis. It's got the voice that sounds like it's got the Mortis voice, right? Faith. He literally gets the offer that Gary gives the pastor in Faith. Or not Gary gives the pastor, that the devil gives the pastor in Faith. It's like the exact same offer, but it's from the blood demon that's inside the speaker. And if this doesn't make sense, don't worry, it won't make sense. After you watch the movie, it'll make sense. But I want to discuss this movie while I'm thinking about it, right? And the voice says, would you do anything to survive? Anything? And it's acting like it cares, while it's telling him that he can't possibly survive, and it says that it wants an escape from this place. And he makes the agreement with it, right? And when he wakes up, it's several days later. So he's been remade by the acid, by the blood, into a new creature, because you see when he's ripping off the bandages, he's got those boils all over him, right? And he says it's like he has some sort of infection. And the beast holds her submarine in its teeth. The beast holds her submarine in its teeth, and she's saying, save the lockbox, we're both already dead. Live for something more than yourself. And it's obviously, he's got to, like, learn to, like, sacrifice himself, and it doesn't hit as well as it should. But the blood drop falling on his forehead and it opening up like a slit is, I believe, supposed to be just, well, it's a gross out bit. It's a show of the graphical fidelity, and it's also supposed to show you that he's become part of the blood, and as he gets hit by more and more of the blood, Like, from the moment that the screen cracks and it sprays blood in his eyes, I'm pretty sure that that's supposed to say that he's already been hit. It's weird, though, man, because he's got the other ship that's claiming to have been in a loop already as well, right? And I am bad at recognizing voices, but it sounds like it's the same woman who comes to rescue him and that she was already in a loop as well. He plays the audio file because he finds another ship just like you do in the game. And instead of a text file, he downloads an audio file because, you know, they have voice acting. And in the audio file, it is just a sequence that feels right out of the Event Horizon, because remember when they're playing the tape in the seminal movie from the 90s, Event Horizon, in Event Horizon, by the way, they have a warp ability to travel, and they realize that the warp from Warhammer 40k, which is probably where they stole the idea from, but the warp allows them to travel between A and B, and the middle area for faster than light travel is hell. And they have an audio clip that's basically just an Event Horizon audio clip, right? It's basically the same thing, but it's screaming about our main character's name, and it calls him a butcher, and mentions how he belongs here and it's all his fault, and it's screaming and hollering and whatnot, and shouting all this horrifying information. And she goes down to save him, but gets captured by the monster. And then she's saying, I was never down here to save you. Because she just keeps constantly fucking betraying him through the entire fucking... It's over and over again. The movie is just, he gets betrayed, he gets betrayed, he gets betrayed. He's trusting him to survive, and he keeps getting betrayed until eventually he's like, no, I'm going to do what I was always supposed to do. I downloaded all the information into Black Box, now save. And it's like, from a story standpoint, it feels kind of satisfying in the heat of the moment, but analyzing that stuff, I genuinely do have some questions here in terms of how they've actually worked this stuff, although it does make sense that there is, I'm pretty certain it is demon inside the blood ocean, right? They have the moment where he's questioning himself and he's thinking, doesn't it make more sense that we took a bunch of stations away rather than all of humanity was taken away, like we've been captured and taken somewhere else? And because the entity's doing a bargain that it wants to be free. But what confused me with that is when the entity's telling him to take the data in one moment, and then it's telling him to destroy the data in the next moment. And the other woman is telling him to save the data. So, like, the monster seems to want him to save the data, right? But then it doesn't. And that's confusing to me. Because it starts attacking him. And it, like, traps his arms, and it, like, doesn't want to let him get the data back. But it's the thing that wanted him to get the data there in the first place, right? You know where I'm confused on that? Because, like, sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I think this makes sense, right? Because Voice of Other Submersible was trapped down there and is talking about how it doesn't have, like, spare oxygen or whatnot. He has the revelation that the speaker was cut the whole time. So was that the monster, or was that another person being kept alive like he was? Probably the intent with that is that it was another person being kept alive like he was, right? That would be my guess. That seems like the most obvious answer there is just, yeah, it was another person who was also being kept alive. And the other person was like, you have to see this, we have to cross over. And explains that there's a god on the other side of that hole that can only see a glimpse of humanity and thinks it knows everything. Which is also part of where I'm getting that idea that it's another fucking humiliation ritual by these fucking Satanists, right? Someone who's kept alive in the black box tape. It said someone was drinking blood. Yes, during the black box tape, which he gets at later. But the question I've got with that stuff, right? Because even if it was being kept alive, right? He's told to grab the data, right? But the data already mentions his name, because his character's name's Simon, right? And the black box audio log already talks about Simon, right? And it's accusing him. And I can't tell if they're just doing the artsy-fartsy, oh, it's his guilt and it's metaphorical, it's not literal. Or if they are actually being literal and he was also on the other ship. You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, think through this stuff, because when you're looking at this stuff, right? When you're looking at this movie, because, again, I'm just going to work through this. Let me try and, like, figure this out. We're going to go step by step here. So he's got the black box. He's got the conversation there. She says, like, come find me at this location, right? He does the teleportation thing, because even in the base game, there's that moment where you can get teleported outside the main area and you can, like, harvest your way back in. Because in the main game, you have the ability to go backwards, and then you got the extra unlocks, as opposed to just the normal one, which is you go from A to B to C to D to E to F to G to the frog eats you, right? And there's the other alternative bit where you can kind of, like, transcend. The thing asks him to... The other person asks him to see it. He goes to the location where he's supposed to, like, find this other person. And it starts screaming about how it needs to be part of it, right? That part's fine. When he's hallucinating and he sees the thing and the seed of the tree cracks, that's fine. Although I'm kind of confused why there was just a tree seed in there, and he's already got an armband that looks like it's got a tree seed, and the tree seed cracks just like the window on the sub. That's obviously, like, symbolism, right? Because the window on the sub cracks, and then the thing on his wrist cracks, and then it eventually gets, like, infected by the blood, which is supposed to be hinting forward to that he gets infected by the blood as well. And they build up. For some reason, the woman from the ship comes down to get the black box data, right? That the monster seemed to want him to get the black box data, right? The monster seemed to want him to get the black box data. We get the black box data where it's the revelation that the blood is human. It's people. The blood is people. Because of course it is. It's not animal blood, it's people blood. And it's a bunch of humans. Is that implication there that it's all the humans that got raptured? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. But from the context in the moment, we get that. We get the idea that the oxygen gets produced by there. You can see that as more blood floods in the vessel, the oxygen level goes up as opposed to down. You get the little mental audio clips of planting plants in the bodies, our bodies spraying up the plants that carry on humanity, right? Suddenly, the monster that seemed to want to get him to the surface now no longer wants to get him to the surface for some fucking reason. And now it wants to trap him down there. And it asks him in his head to destroy the black box that he just recovered. Yeah. Even though it asked him to do all this stuff and told it that it would get him out, it now wants to destroy the black box, which is what tells me that it might be separate entities, right? Because those are two diametrically opposed, like, ideals. Although it does say, I want to escape, I want to get out of this, right? Would you give up anything to get out of this? Which is, you know, your classic, like, devil's bargain, that sort of thing. Then we have the whole thing where he goes down, he gets the box, he puts it in the life vest instead of himself. Which is okay. Alright. Fair enough. He rips off his arm, he's got that stuff. The black box going up to the surface is like the last shot of the movie, where the black box is like floating on top of the water and they rescue it. The way that it's presented is confusing to me personally as to... Well, no, it's not really that confusing, because, like, the way that it's presented is, this is him completing his character arc, right? He decides to rescue the black box instead and send it up to the surface, and he sacrifices himself for something greater than himself. The box escapes, even if he doesn't, even if everything falls apart, yada, 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 yada. I get that. Man, the transition to that was awkward. And it's confusing, because the entire time you've got this, like, dialogue that's being baked into it. We just suddenly establish that he's a butcher, and then he killed a bunch of people. And in the back audio, he might have killed the other people he was working with. I would be interested to see... hope it's not. Chat, do you think Mark's setting up for a sequel? Holy shit, do you think he's setting up for a fucking sequel? Do you think that's why he... No. No. They wouldn't do like a prequel sequel, right? Where they have the actual... No, not in a million years. I don't think they are. I don't think he is. Listen, as somebody who worked for an evil company, as someone who's a supervillain, right? As someone who is a supervillain, if I was making that movie, I would set it up for a sequel. Oh, because he made... The name of the studio is Iron Lung Film LLC. What if they're setting up for a game sequel? I could see that. You do a game sequel and then you do a movie sequel afterwards. I could see that. I don't know if it needs it, because, like, honestly, like, the film is really good. Again, no matter what I've said here, watch the fucking movie, right? You need to watch that movie. Like, ideally in theaters, because the theater experience is fucking great. The audio design works a lot better in a theater as well, because you get the positional stuff and you get a little bit of the static from the speaker system. The actual expansion around you is really well done. Some of the audio design is really great. Others, you can tell he did it himself. By the way, Markiplier did the writing, the directing, the editing, and the sound engineering himself. And that's why I'm like, man, Mark, when we've got the three characters talking over each other, that really needed 2 or 3 more passes, and it needed to have a hardline understanding of which audio you wanted to be the loudest. I don't know if that was just my theater. Pascal, did you have the same issue when you were watching it? Did you have the same issue in your theater where when the 3 voices are talking, because you have Mark's character, the radio voice, and the other voice all talking at once, or, well, you have the 2 of them talking at once, and then you have Mark chime in as well. Is that... Because I really couldn't fucking understand. I had to, like, parse and parse and parse. I could see them setting up for an expanded universe, but I feel like it's already in the Dusk universe. I feel like, okay, just from, like, watching it and the style there, it feels like Faith. It was a bit hard. Okay. Because, like, it was almost impossible in my theater. Now, I feel like, just from the way this was written, right? From the way this was... Now, I don't remember if... Is that I can never remember. I can't do names. I couldn't even remember the name of the game Faith. What are they setting up for other perspectives of other people? Well, I can see that as well, right? I could definitely see that as well. So we've gone through a little bit of, like, an in-depth on this sort of thing here. I do think, like, just from the writing the way it is, it feels like this game is in the same universe as Faith and Ultra Kill and Dusk. Or maybe just Faith and Dusk. We actually have confirmation that Faith and Dusk are in the same setting, right? That is full confirmation. Unironically, unavoidably, Faith and Dusk are in the same setting, right? That is undeniable, right? But I feel like from some of the ways that that's delivered, that Iron Lung is in that same area. I feel like it is. Just from the way the delivery was, from the writing of some of this, a lot of that felt like they were setting up the connection there. And if that's what winds up happening, if we had like a New Blood cinematic universe, I'd sit here and I go, can we not? Can we not? Mark's perspective, obviously, from like seeing the movie, Mark's perspective is the perspective of your main character in the actual game Iron Lung, right? They have a lot of stuff that's hinted at. They have other characters. It's very psychological. It's very... It gets artsy. I know I've said that many times because it's true, right? The movie gets very, very artsy. Very, very artsy near the end. I'm not a big fan of how artsy it gets. I get why they do it, and when you're watching it, it's not a problem. Again, like, I've said this many, many times, I'm going to keep saying it. I will watch this movie again and again and again, and I will just keep enjoying it. Because it's just that kind of good spectacle, it's that kind of good fun. But when you're sitting here thinking about it, you're like, Did it need to be done that way? Did it? It's good. It's actually really fucking good. Like, for current year, it's one of the better films I've seen this year, right? By this year, I mean 2025, not 2026, even though I've seen it in 2026. I'm counting last year into this year because this year has been very short. In the last 365 calendar days, this is one of the better movies I have seen in the last 365 calendar days. It is a wonderful experience. Watch it in the fucking theaters. Watch it in the theaters. Watch it in the theaters. Watch it in the theaters. Holy shit. Watch it in the theaters. Was it perfect narratively? No. Was it good? Yeah. Was it perfect cinematographically? No. Was it perfect costuming-wise? No. Was it perfect set design-wise? Actually, kind of, yeah. The set design was on fucking point. The people who worked on the sets for that did such a fucking good job. I will say, when he's going after the tendrils that are sticking through the ship and he's just hitting them, the cinematography was flagging there, and I feel like it could have been done a lot better, because I didn't even realize what he was doing when he was doing that attack sequence. The action sequence with the tentacles was very muddy. Very, very muddy. But the actual set design, the taken over ship versus the untaken over ship, even the background setting where you can see the space station a little bit, that stuff was very good, right? Set design, fantastic. The costuming was pretty good. I think the harness, as I said earlier, I'm summarizing, by the way, for anybody new who's in here. I think that the actual costume designing was pretty good. I do believe that the harness that was on him was most likely for hiding wires, and also for the final shot of the movie, so you can see the harness being placed on top of the, oh, geez. You can see the harness taped on top of the black box to hold the vest to it, so it's floating on the water, so they can discover it. I don't know why the black box was so important. It's a MacGuffin of the story, right? Everybody says it's important. Everybody says it has all the answers. Even your main character says it's the most important thing. Mark's character even says that near the end. He's like willing to give up everything to make sure that gets in the right hands. I don't understand why. I don't understand what it actually does to provide hope and future for humanity. But I feel like part of that's because I couldn't hear what they were saying for some of it, and most of the actual like lore and stuff there is whisper dialogue. There's not a lot of visual telling. Hey, if you guys are blind, this movie's gonna be great. You're gonna miss a lot, but it's gonna be great for you if you're blind, because you're not going to miss the actual story. You're gonna be missing the visuals. And the visuals are fucking good. Holy shit. That sequence where the veins are like coming up his arms and you got the weird little like growth almost like a tree and he like pulls his arm off and it's left on there. That shit's cool. When he's crawling through the blood, he's swimming through there and they're using actual practical like fake blood effects. Practical effects for the blood. Fantastic. When the water's cracking, pretty cool. When the front grate cracks and the weird monster thing slides through next to him, and for some reason it has the woman's eye, I'm like, that scene did not... It's cool, but I'm looking at that scene and I'm like, what? Your design language is weird. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of hallucinatory elements that feel like the way they handle the hallucinations makes it weird to watch. But I like that they're in there. Holy shit, I like that they're in there. Oh my goodness. Can I just say that? I can't say that enough, right? The actual watching experience, even when I'm like analyzing this, the only reason I'm analyzing this is because I fucking enjoyed it. Holy shit. I enjoyed it. Especially considering it's only 3 mil. Holy fuck, 3 mil. Like, so they had a decent list of people here. It's very clear that he was trying to do as much as he could himself. trying to do as much as he could while still getting the actual, like, union understanding here, making your actual, like, requirements. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump that. And that's something that's very, like, the amount that actually went to screen as opposed to going to someone's pocket is really fucking impressive. Like, it's immensely impressive. Why do you think it's in the same universe as Dusk? Okay, the delivery on the lines from the entity, the way that it's phrased, fits in line with some of the deeper dialogue that I had heard, because I have 100%ed Dusk. I have 100%ed Faith. I have looked through the code of both games. I've gotten the Easter eggs. The reason why I think it's in Dusk is because it matches with the MO of, admittedly, Lucifer, but, you know, the entity fits in line. Well, I know he's got a signature style, but they're also in the game. When I say that, Faith is undeniably in the same setting as Dusk. Those two are a shared universe, right? And the way that the dialogue was written of the entity, more than a signature stylistic choice, right? More than just the subtle allusions, right? Because it is blatant, right? There is literally a letter you get from the main villain of Dusk talking to the main villain of Faith. Gary and the Dusk villain are in active communication with each other and trade NPCs between each other. Because you can meet a Faith enemy in Dusk and a Dusk enemy in Faith. And there's one specific line that I'm having a hard time remembering from that. There's one line, and I'm trying to remember the exact wording here, from this movie that makes me believe that it is the future of that same setting that those other two already were, right? I can't remember the fucking line, but it's the way the delivery, it immediately clicked in my head that it's like, oh, this is part of the same shared universe. That's what I'm talking about, right? And I can't remember it's something in the way the entity speaks. Like looking through the crack into the universe. I have 100%ed, and I know it's in the same. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, right? And the reason I'm saying it's in Dusk is because it connects more to Faith rather than to Dusk. And it's specifically in the way that the offer is worded to Markiplier's character, right? The way the offer is worded, it feels less of a biblical thing and more of a direct thing to how Gary operates. Am I saying the giant monster in this movie is Gary? No. Although that would be fucking funny. Oh, no. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Oh, I should have double-checked the credits. Oh, that would have been great if you just see the credits and it's got the monster credited as Gary. Ah, no, they wouldn't do that. But yeah, no. Does everything have to be a connected unit? No. No, of course not. Does it have to be? No, of course not. I'm trying to work through, like, a mental, like, map here. He also throws, like, a lost... True. And Easter eggs are not... Despite what a lot of modern people think, Easter eggs do not always... Easter eggs themselves are not always canon, right? There are Easter eggs that are sometimes just Easter eggs. And I understand that. Fully. And I accept that. Fully. Right? Also, Zamansky. I keep forgetting the name Zamansky. Zamansky. I need to get that burned into my fucking brain if I'm going to be talking about this. Like, I like the world. I like the setting. I like the idea. I like the concept. It would be nice if Zamansky, moving forward, was willing to sort of expand out that universe even further, whether it is connected to the other games or not, whether those are Easter eggs or it is one long-running timeline. And again, as somebody who, I've done writing for many years, right? I've done a number of, like, light novels and other, like, fun little book things. I used to do game design as a living back when I was a young villain, a young evil villain in my youth. I really need to actually do a game at some point again. Holy fuck. I have not actually finished a game since I stopped working at a studio. Holy fuck. I haven't finished a single fucking game since I was doing work. I should probably do something. I got like 12 projects. I'm not going to finish any of them. I'm just going to keep talking about how I should finish them, because that's more fun. But, My style is also very similar to that, where I have like one setting that I use for almost everything. I've talked on stream about that stuff, where I've got like, I'll just take different points in it, and if you overbuild a setting, you can make completely different like works, things and whatnot. I think they laid off at the end when he was like smacking the teeth. Was that the teeth that he was smacking? I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. Were those teeth? Those were teeth. I thought they were tentacles. I couldn't fucking tell that they were teeth. And when they're showing the other ship that's in its mouth, I couldn't really see what was going on with that. Like, I knew consciously what it was. Yeah, it bit the ship. Oh, like it did with the other ship when it was holding in the mouth. Like, I know what I'm supposed to be seeing. I know what I'm supposed to be seeing, but I'm not fucking seeing it. You know what I mean? Because, like, there's him ramming it. There's a lot of the movie that I think my biggest issue with the movie is I am intellectually aware of what is supposed to be on screen and what I am supposed to be seeing. I am intellectually aware of what is going on with his backstory, with this setting, with this word. Intellectually, I know. Holy fuck, I can't visually tell. Like, well, without color, also with the over-reliance on the red palette shade, at times I feel like this movie would benefit from being released in black and white. Now, I don't say that often, but I legitimately think you have to have I wouldn't even say you have to have a very high IQ. You have to be paying attention very close. I feel like this movie, unlike many others, would unironically benefit from being black and white because at least then you have the color gradient and it wouldn't matter as much what the actual colors are there. And I will tell you right now that if I had the money, I would unironically have this movie played in a theater in black and white so I could see first fucking hand if that does improve this. And if this comes out on DVD or what have you, Blu-ray, it would be digital release, right? But if they release this movie in a digital format, I'm going to watch the entire thing through in black and white to check my hypothesis, because the color grading that they use in this makes it confusing. If it started black and white and got more red at the end, well, I think at the very least, if you did a black and white or a grayscale and then you tinted it red towards the end, it would still have the same issue of too many color in that one shade, but by making it pure black and white, I think it would lose some of the muddiness if you did a re-go through on the actual gamma, brightness, and shadows to be designed for the black and white. I do think it being in color makes it muddy. The visuals get very, very, very fucking muddy near the end, and the entire... the visuals get muddy, the actual storytelling gets muddy, the style gets muddy, it muddies near the end. The final shot's great. The bit where he's staring into the monster and it's this bright red sequence and there's the red veins sticking out through the blood and the veins are touching up at the actual seed in his pendant and it's corrupting it and it's showing that moment of like staring into the beast. It's not subtle, but it works, right? It is as subtle as the final boss at Dusk. Good old Unarmored. Love that man. Oh wait, he wasn't the final boss. He was like, was he the final boss? Whatever it was, you know what I mean, right? Like, I think he was he like the second final boss? Because there's the guy that you fight, who I spent like 12 fucking hours fighting, where you're running around the arena. And there's the guy you fight by bouncing to the left and to the right, who's got the god thing. I thought the seed was a mosquito at first. It's very hard to tell what the fuck it is until you get the actual story and you're like, oh, they're obsessed with the Eden tree, so that's their religious symbol and it's an actual seed, right? But yeah, no, when the movie gets ready to end, I get that you're feeling as concussed as he is, but holy shit, as a watcher, I feel concussed. And it's supposed to be this, like, subtle thing where the glass is cracking, he's, like... being taken over by the thing, he's connecting to it, but then he still has his actual, like, arc as a human being in order to realize that there's more important things than his personal survival, and he has to work for the survival of the human race. But the way they deliver the actual information, I know I give a fuck. I know the language of the storytelling tells me to give a fuck. I know they tell me I should give a fuck. I really don't know why I give a fuck. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, no, he's got the black box, and somehow that's gonna save all of humanity. I really don't fucking know how. Like, I observe it as a MacGuffin, and I know I'm talking in circles, but that's mostly because it's like 3 in the morning. Yeah, it's 3:33 in the morning. I realize we need the MacGuffin. I couldn't fucking tell you why the MacGuffin's gonna save humanity. Why knowing about the portal saves humanity. I got, like, fracking the blood ocean to make iron and food in space. That's what I was thinking, right? Because they're like, well, they say that, but it's also buried in the dialogue. Because, is that the only thing? Because if that's the only thing, then okay, cool. It's surface level and I'm digging in too deep. Because that is actually really helpful. But I didn't think that because the delivery on that line is in the heady voice where he's hearing it in his mind, right? And so I didn't know if that was supposed to be coming from the black box where it says that they were doing that, or it was supposed to be coming from his childhood memory. Because I thought it was in the voice of his pastor. I guess if he's saying it out loud himself, it would still be captured by the black box, because the black box is recording everything that's said inside of the actual sub, which that is covered. So if it is just a case of he's declaring to them, hey, you can take the blood from this planet, make oxygen, that's how we survive down here, the oxygen, and you can grow things out of it, so that's food, humanity will survive. Pastor, I hardly know her. But yeah, no, if that's all they're going for with that, then I can understand that. It's just, in the moment, it's like, what the fuck? And why did you want him to find it, but now you don't want him to find it? You wanted him to get the black box, and now you want him to destroy the black box? He's got the black box. Never said how the data was transferred to the station, what they were looking for. The portal was interesting, the ancient ruins. Oh, no, it is said in the movie how the data was transferred. They literally do. Okay, so I need you to press Control Shift F9. And now let me read out the password to you. Now enter that password. And then he goes, okay, wait. And she reads out the entire password and goes, okay, so it's Control Shift F9, and there's a password. And that felt very much like a comedic beat to lighten tension, but it was silly in a way that didn't lighten the tension too much. It did actually work. Thinking about it, because I was about to shit on it. I was about to shit on that decision as not fitting, but actually thinking back to my feelings in the moment in the theater, right? My feelings in the moment in the theater can safely be said, yes, that levity moment worked, and it made the next scene that came after that hit harder. I don't think the same can be said for the guy just telling him to randomly fuck off. I still don't like the drop. I still don't like the drop after he beams them with cancer rays. I also still don't like the line, you can tell it to my tumors. I don't like that line either. I feel like you could cut some of the lines completely, and it'd be fine. I also feel like there should have either been less flashbacks or more. But I've said that. I'm repeating myself over and over again now. Mostly because I see new people who are hopping in. But yeah, overall, I'm going to say again and again and again, watch the movie. Watch the movie. It's fucking good. The fact that I'm even thinking about this as much as I am, honestly, time loop stream, well, kind of like time loop movie. which I still don't know how I feel about. I'm not... It's weird. One X-ray's not... Okay, yeah, no, we were talking about that earlier, right? He fucking, like, blasts him with one X-ray, and the one guy's, like... The girl goes blind in one eye, the other guy, he's so ridden with tumors and vomiting that he's, like, dying in a bed, and he gets, like, one last weld before he fucking dies. The girl gets, like, her eye turns to, like, a white orb, which is... I get that they, like, melt her eye and melt the side of her face. Yeah, Demon Core X-ray camera. No! It's not how that works! But I get that they do that. That is intentional, so when the monster passes through the ship, you see the monster has her white eye because the monster is her. I get why they're doing that. No, it doesn't make fucking sense. Like, you're set up to make that happen. It's for a set piece, right? It's for a fucking set piece. To be symbolic, to be this, that, the... But your reasoning... like, in the heat of the moment, right? I care about it because I get fucking obsessive over some of this stuff, right? Where I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I see what you did. I see why you did it. Why the fuck does it work that way? Because, like, what? Fucking what? Okay. I remember you were the third sub sent. There's an official sub with a lot of tech on it. Yes. They mentioned that official sub, right? They mentioned the second sub. Okay, Markiplier's character is literally just the main character from the game. So if you've played the story of the game, you know a lot of the stuff they reference here. It is the thing, right? The biggest difference is there's the SMA. They also have the marker on it. They've got a marker on the actual, like... Iron Lung was a game first. Yeah. Iron Lung was a game first. Also, again, I'm talking spoilers because I don't think the spoilers will affect whether you enjoy the movie. Because this is a movie that you have to experience. I can explain to you every single scene, every single detail, and it will not prepare you for actually watching. It won't fucking prep you. Nothing will prep you. Playing the video game won't prep you. Playing the video game will tell you the story, right? If you have played the video game Iron Lung before, you know a lot of this stuff, but it doesn't prep you. Nothing can fucking prep you for some of the shit this movie does. And holy shit, when you're watching it, you're going to feel like you have been stuck in the movie for like 14 weeks. It is a 2-hour, 7-minute film that feels like an 88-hour film in a good way. I'm not saying in the sense that you'll be bored, I'm saying in the sense that you will feel haggard. You will feel just worn the fuck down as he does by the end of it. Which is also why the ending that completely just adjusts the pacing and whatnot doesn't really hit the way I think it needs to. But I wouldn't even necessarily say that that's a terrible thing, because Markiplier, like, for a first-time writer, for a first-time actual film creator, outside of his Heist with Markiplier and Space with Markiplier, for first fucking time, fucking hell. Just holy shit. Holy shit. And again, I say holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of movie that a studio would release maybe, like, once in a decade. And to have... not a one-man team. Yeah, no. He's not new to making media, but it's like the first bigger budget project. How much bigger is the budget from the In Space with Markiplier, Heist with Markiplier? What was that? Because this is only a $3 million budget, which $3 million is a lot of money, right? But it's not as much money as, like, the $10 million budget or the $30 million budget, the $300 million budget, the Marvel budget of, like, $1 billion fucking dollars. Holy shit, can I just say? Consider the following. This is a $3 million movie, right? A Marvel movie as a like $1 billion movie. Is it that many factors better than this film? Can we all take a moment for that? Is a Marvel movie that many factors better than this $3 million film? Wasn't that a really good horror movie film everybody liked, made by one of the guys from... Oh, are you talking about Skinamarink? You talking about Skinamarink? Are you talking about Skinamarink or one of the other horror movies? There's been a few, like, low-budget, big-return horror movies. There's been also, if you guys are coming in here at the end, I do recommend watching back through... This is one of those streams where I think, even not interacting directly, I recommend you guys check out the start here so you can get my, like, spoiler-free review for the movie and my genuine thoughts on here before I started, like, looping. Because while if you guys want me to loop again, I can keep looping. We can loop forever. I can say the same 5 minutes of review or 20 minutes of review 500 times. I'm fine with that. And it would be thematically appropriate for the movie. Me continuing to loop the review, very appropriate for the movie. Very appropriate. But yeah, no, I do have to say, like, in terms of how it feels as a film, like, to go on to actual, like, different bits here, this feels the same sort of feeling watching the movie that I got when I was first playing the game. And that is something that I genuinely was not expecting, right? Now, when I say that, I played this game when it first came out, because I thought it was interesting, and I'd seen Markiplier play it afterwards. I saw, because everybody was playing it for a while there, right? And the first time you're playing through this game, you don't understand what you're doing. I sucked at this game. Do you know how bad it was for me to, like, sit, look at the map, adjust, 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 look at the map? We played it on stream entirely 100%ing it after the Ocean Gate stuff, because I am a creatively bankrupt person who likes making light of tragedies by playing video games that connect to the tragedy, right? And that's the kind of thing that I do, and that's the kind of person I am as a villain, all right? I'm a villain, and you guys need to get used to the fact that I'm going to make use of any tragedy, just to, put my own goals forward, because I'm evil, right? But you shouldn't do that. Let me do that. And I'm going to be honest, the very first time I played this game, when I was shit at it, and I was scared, and I was frustrated, and I'm trying to figure things out, and then I went back to the update for when they were doing they did the announcement of the announcement of the movie was starting, and they added the lore, because they added the lore terminal, right? But the first time I was through it, there's that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of tension, that feeling of stress, and the further you get along, until you get the big, like, monster attack, the frog guy, right? It really did fucking well at getting that sense of unease, that sense of fear, that sense of discomfort, that sense of, like, this alien sensation, right? And the movie does that exactly. For all of its faults, for all of its flaws, is nice. Is very nice. Very, very nice. And I do wonder, could there be other games that we could do a similar thing here, right? Because while Iron Lung perfectly replicates the feeling of Iron Lung, could you do the same thing for a Dusk? Because Dusk is a completely different feel. Could you do the same sort of thing for Faith, right? I mean, admittedly, Faith would be a fairly, like, Exorcist. You know what I mean, right? Could you do something for Amnesia? Could you do something for some of these other bits? Because the one thing that this game does better than almost any other game movie, it does better than the Silent Hill movie, it does better than the Resident Evil movies, it does better than the Street Fighter movie by a hell of a margin. Even the best movies, even the best video game movies, right? Even if we're talking about, like, Nintendo's, like, Mario movie or whatever, the one that people liked, they don't get the feel of the game. Not a single game movie has the actual feel of the game itself so firmly down pat, right? Iron Lung got the exact feeling. I'm gonna start playing with a knife here. I need to play with a knife so that I can think better. Let me just twirl this knife here and not cut myself open so I don't bleed to death. Iron Lung perfectly captures the feeling of playing the game for the first time, and it perfectly captures the feeling of playing the game even now. Even after 100 playthroughs, you can still get that sort of feeling, that sort of understanding. And even when you're going through and you're breaking it, you're attempting to do all the documentation you can, there is that sort of innate backing to it that the movie captures in a way that I haven't seen done before, and I don't know if we can really do that with many of the others, because the one good thing is, innately, from the limited nature of the video game, from the limited nature of how it is set up, it is very easy to transfer that into film, but to do it to this degree, right? I think it'll be outdone in perfectly capturing the game in October when the Concord movie releases. Shit. Felt claustrophobic, like the world's doomed and you're in a bad place? Yes. It got all of the emotions out of the actual game. And that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if you could do that for Dusk, right? Because Dusk, for example, has that high-octane feeling, has that jump around, that move around, that Doom boomer shooter, hopping about, the high-octane, action-packed moments, mixed with the light comedy, mixed with the scares, mixed with the tension, the fear. I played through the entirety of Dusk on the hardest difficulty with only the size, right? I played through max difficulty, only the size. We beat the entire game that way. And I will tell you, that made that game feel like a fucking horror game. Playing on max everything, playing with just the size, intruder mode, that's the word. And I just used the size. I didn't use any of the other weapons. That turned it into a horror game, but I don't think you could capture that. Or rather, it is not that I do not believe that you could do such a thing. It is I do not have, at present, an understanding, personally, of how something like that could be successfully captured in a 2-hour length film, right? You have the 4-episode structure, and I do not know which other types of games could have this sort of application be done to them in a way that does such a good job of capturing the gameplay into the movie. You know what I mean? Because even outside of actual story elements, the actual, like, camera angles, by the way, when he's doing the twisting, the actual, like, the display on the console is right. The map that he posts onto the wall is right. The feeling of having to balance out, going back to hit the button to see your thing, going forward to it, the way that he blocks the actual accelerometer, the push forward, the way that he blocks that in order to keep it going forward, taping the buttons here, all of these things feel like things that you would reasonably do with this, and it adds these elements, right? It adds these feelings that I think are essential to the movie. And I wonder, out of a thought experiment, what other games can you really hit that with, right? And can you take that approach to another game? Could we take an approach like that to a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat, right? Because we've had Mortal Kombat movies, and some of them people really enjoy, right? But could you do a Mortal Kombat movie that gets not just the feeling of Mortal Kombat, but the feeling of playing Mortal Kombat? That tension, that exhilaration, that intensity, that dedication, right? And I don't know the answer to that. Alpha! Ow. I thought too hard and I sneezed my brain out my nose. Am I overthinking this? Well, yes, of course. But the thing is, like, I'm somebody who loves game design. I'm somebody who loves the ideas of trying to make a video game into a movie and how that can be successfully done. I would say, even if the Mario movie made more money, this is the most successful video game movie I've seen in a long time. Have you heard Divine Frequency? In dev hell, but there's a demo out? I'll check it out. I always worry when a game is in development hell for too long, because I find you need to strike when the iron's hot, and after a certain point, if a thing just stays in development and stays in development and stays in development, it's going to get better, and then it's eventually going to start getting worse if it's not out there. If you give somebody too much dev time, that can be almost as damaging as giving them not enough, right? We saw with Bethesda's game, the Star game that they released that was dog shit, and then took 10 years off of everybody else's projects and had a bad core concept. and a bad core gameplay loop. I know plenty of people who enjoy the game, by the way. I'm not saying you can't enjoy that game. Starfield. But the core concept was flawed. What the fuck is this? Hold on. What? What? Okay. Hold on. Let me look up Divine Frequency. Okay, let me see this. Bewildering tale of trash can hobo's rise to become the universe's most effective security software? What? What? Okay, that's a fun concept. Ooh, I like the art style on it. It's got that sort of, scanned-in art to it. I do not like the UI design. I really don't like the UI. The UI design is bad. It's inspired by Stalker, and I don't like how... I don't like that. Just reminded the lead writer of Fallout and Starfield thinks that Starfield's one of the best things they released. Low-key just made my Twitch account. Hey, welcome to Twitch. How you doing? Hope you're having a good one. But yeah, no, I do genuinely think from the bottom of my heart that even though, it is not the greatest game that has ever existed, and it's not the greatest movie that has ever existed, it is exactly what it needs to be at exactly the time it needs to be. And I am hopeful that even would this movie not have been as successful as it has been, even if this movie is not the greatest movie, I already see this being a successful example to get people into making film. This is a successful example to get people understanding what a game movie could be, even if the original game has a lot of movie element to it already, right? This is something that needed to be made. It has been made. And I think the fact that you can't unmake it is one of the best things about this. And I hope it continues to have success. I hope that the international releases do well. I genuinely hope that Markiplier is able to move forward here and be able to keep carrying on the success the same way he was able to carry on his success with his channel. I am somebody who, back in the day, I watched PewDiePie when he was still doing the Amnesia videos. I watched Markiplier very early on. I would not say, like, beginning. I started watching him during... right at the start of the Slender stuff. Wait, was it Slender or was it King of the Squirrels? It was either King of the Squirrels or it was Slender. I think it was like the Slender stuff. I remember him playing one of the Slender games. It wasn't the Christmas one. But I've been watching him for a while, right? And Markiplier has always been something of an inspiration to me when it comes to content creation or whatnot, because I've been doing streaming since about 2008 on and off, well, content creation and streaming. And even during all of that time, there's been a lot of times when I've wanted to give up. And when I saw how he was able to make his comeback, a lot of you guys may not understand, but when Markiplier was first doing his channel, how do I phrase this? He had a situation where he lost his monetization, he started a brand new channel, and he went over to that new channel and made use of the, He made use of the new channel that he had started to get his monetization back in order to do a catapult, and he has always had an inspiration to me in the sense that he took the idea that he got lucky, and he did get lucky at first, and then he dedicated himself to leveraging that luck as hard as he possibly could. And that has been such a massive fucking inspiration to me. And genuinely seeing how he's done even though he was doing a lot of the, like, playing things up, acting up already, right? He's been an actor for years. Even in the earlier days, he was acting his way through a lot of the content he was doing on YouTube, playing things up, doing the horror stuff, overreacting. I do still love those early things, even if he was damaging his voice during the time. And I do think that he will always be one of those inspirations, right? The I Divine Cybermancy guys released their new game in October. Did they actually release that already? Would you say Clue was a good movie adaptation? I wouldn't have expected a comedy, but I think it worked. On the other hand, Tim Curry really carried it. Dude, Tim Curry is the heart and soul of the Clue movie. And I think, ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm on board. Yeah, I'm on board. This feels like, this, I'm gonna have to, I'm adding that. Adding that to my wish list. Thank you. It's on my wish list now. I'll grab it when it goes on sale. Yeah, no, I'll grab it when it goes on sale. Yeah, no, I'm on board. Would you say that Clue was a good movie adaptation? I would personally say yes. I believe that Clue is a good movie adaptation from a certain perspective because it gets the chaos and the funny of playing with family, but not from the sense of it being like a great mystery. I like the comedy. I can see it being a fit. I would say it's actually about as good as you can get for a generic board game. I was watching your YouTube live. Also, I think if Markiplier wasn't playing Simon, or he wasn't who he was, it wouldn't have been as popular. No, it wouldn't have been. And there's the thing, right? A good movie, that can be true, and it can be a good movie still. That can be true, and it can be enjoyable. I would have enjoyed this movie just as much if it was the exact same performance, if it was any other actor. And that is why I say that it is better than the majority of YouTuber movies. Because Markiplier being the main character is an advertisement bonus, not something that actively changes the film itself. Is he the best actor? No. Is he a great actor? No. Is he good in this role? Yes. Is he great in this role? No. But he is good enough. He performs the stunts well. He handles it well. This does not feel like your typical sort of Hollywood actor, writer, director, straight through the thing, right? And that part makes me happy, right? It genuinely does. The fact that you can blot Markiplier out, blot your understanding of Markiplier out, and it's still good, means that with it being Markiplier, it's better. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say that it's not better with Markiplier being who he is and whatnot. I'm not saying that it would have had the same impact, right? It had more impact making me want to see the film over hearing Jack Black was Steve in the Minecraft movie. Well, there's also the fact that the Minecraft movie was never going to be good. Unfortunately. Well, actually, that's not true. You could have made a very good movie out of Minecraft. Because it had so little story, you could have made a hyper good movie out of it. Sometimes the less story a thing has, the more you can pump into it. The problem is a lot of these places, a lot of these studios really hate the original content, you know? And that part's genuinely quite sad. It's frustrating. It's uncomfortable. Also, they made Deathwing. Wait, the guys who made Iron Divine Cybermancy made Deathwing? I love Deathwing. Deathwing was great. I think at the end of the day, we can agree here that what Markiplier has done here, Mr. Fishbach has done here. Mr. Fishbach, Markiplier, Markiplier. What Markiplier has done here is make a pretty good movie, which is a very good job of being a good game movie, and it's one of the best video game movies I have ever seen. Mostly because the video game that it's based off of is already a pretty good setup for a film as is, and he put in some hard work. The render farm obviously worked. Although I wonder if he's regretting having built it. Although actually I listen to his podcast from time to time with him. It's Mark, it's Wade, and it is Bob. Mark, Bob, and Wade. Mark, Wade, and Bob. If someone made the exact same story as Markiplier, it wouldn't have made the same money. Well, no, of course not. But there's the thing, right? Okay. Even if you made the exact same story, you could get the exact same relevancy without Markiplier by paying. That's the thing I want to get across, right? You can buy that level of awareness, but the price of that level of awareness would not make as much profit. Markiplier doing it makes it so the budget can be lower, right? I think you would have still had it make money, but I think you would have probably had a $15 million budget. And $15 million, even if you had the exact same profit, well, you're not, the same amount of tickets sold, you're not going to have the same amount of profit, right? You know what I'm saying there? him being Markiplier did make a lot of studios more likely to be willing to pick this up, because let's be honest here, a lot of the people who are working at their theaters more likely to pick this up. Let's be honest, a lot of people who are working at theaters are people who either watched Markiplier or watch Markiplier. You know what I mean? And that also helps it. Him calling them, him working, word of mouth is by far the most important. Kunajo, the fuck? I literally was just saying you can buy the word of mouth and it'll cost way fucking more. It's a $3 million movie. I'm saying that the $3 million movie would have to have $12 million worth of advertising to get the same word of mouth. That's what I'm saying. And word of mouth is really, actually surprisingly not that hard to AstroTurf if you've got a good solid product. If we had the same product of the same quality, how was Iron Lung? I've been talking about how Iron Lung was for the last 2 hours, 30 minutes, with some little side tangents. Iron Lung, okay, since you just came in, K-Victus, I will give you my too long didn't watch. Iron Lung good? Watch Iron Lung? Iron Lung have moment that not make sense? Iron Lung still good. Good thriller? Ending, kinda poopy. But not so poopy that it ruined the film. Just kinda like, hard to see what go on. Kinda hard to see what go on. Kinda hard to see what go on. And it kinda rushes itself a bit. Also some dialogue not great. But movie good. Highly recommend. Watch movie. Movie fun. And people know he respected the source material, so people are more willing to give it the benefit of it. Correct. And I will stand by my statement that yes, it could have gotten the same money, but it would have been significantly higher budget. You would have needed a much higher advertising budget without Markiplier at the helm, right? And the other thing is, Markiplier also did the rendering himself, which saves some money, right? Markiplier did the rendering himself in his own house, which is saving a fair amount of money, even if, you know, he also spent a fuck ton of money on electricity and all kinds of other stuff as well, and we might never know exactly how much. He had his own network connections, he had his own friends, he was working, I would probably say, again, you'd probably need like $12 million extra budget to make up for what he got there, maybe even 20 million, depending, right? But I don't know for a fact. The $3 million budget is possible because you have that sort of recognizability, you have that sort of advertising campaign, you have that ability to get the word of mouth without having to pay for it. Now, there are studios that you can hire who will just artificially get you word of mouth, right? With their fucking bot networks. And you can also do that for other people who don't know that you're doing it for them. But anyway, I do think that it is a perfect storm for the moment that it needs to be, and the fact that he has done this with this movie is what's going to be the important thing moving forward, right? Outside of who he is, outside of anything that happened with this, outside of anything that the movie is, in this moment, releasing it this way has primed the industry for a change at a point that it needs one. Theaters are presently dying. In a lot of ways. With movies like this, with low-budget films coming out more and more often, the Blumhouse movies are low budget, we're getting more and more options of this, and we've now seen that there can be a success, even if it's hard to replicate, right? Seeing Markiplier have the success without going through a publishing house. Seeing him self-publish this, having the actual visual thing of, hey, you can have a solo movie, he still had, I think it's like 100, 200 people working with him, but you know what I mean, like, that was hiring people, but what I'm talking is he didn't have the major studio taking their 30% cut or whatever, he was doing the writing, he was doing the directing, he was doing a lot of that stuff, right? By showing that that can be done, by showing that this can be done and having it done as well as it has been, that is going to add an extra weight onto the film's long-term legitimacy, long-term relevancy, and I like that. I like that a lot. You know what I didn't like? How one of the previews for the film almost sent me into an epileptic seizure. Because they were doing some fucking bullshit from the creator of Seven. Comes Demonic Killer. It was like the most generic fucking name. And it was flashing a fuck ton of satanic imagery super fucking fast, and it almost put me in a fucking seizure. Holy shit. The amount of subliminal messaging with that shit as well, right? It was rough. It was rough, dude. It was rough. The preview before the trailers for that, like, for the most part, they were just like nice little like, hey, are you aware we're doing these other movies here? Would you like to get our membership card? Hey, did you know we do full food and this, that, the other? It'll be interesting to see the slop that big studios make trying to copy this. Yes! And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people will try to copy it. Big studios will try to copy it. Indie people will try to copy it. This is a good movie for getting started onto getting more copies. I would expect to see more studios trying to get some game license rights. I would definitely expect to see some more studios going for different games, not understanding what made it successful, and getting out the other side with a lot of loss, or maybe even a small profit. I wouldn't be surprised if we got more sort of, I can't remember the name of the studio, Asylum-style hyper low-budget films. Although those are usually awful. Just the worst. Man, Asylum's bad. Hello, Grumpy. Welcome in. Also, my sister said the movie was Markiplier moaning half the time. She wasn't complaining. Yeah! There's a lot of Markiplier moaning. And the extended 30-second zoom in on his nipples. Yeah, that did happen. That did happen. Yep. Yep. At the theater, the row of women behind me, the teens behind me, was a group of giggling women who were bragging about how they can't believe they're going to goon to Markiplier in a theater. Yep. Markiplier, the dude who did horror gaming and content and whatnot, low-key gave us fan service. Yep. Yep, he did. It's true. There was fan service for the ladies. But where's my fan service as a dude? Where's my straight guy fan service? Who is Mark? Why is Markiplier famous in the first place? Oh, hey, let me cover this again. So Markiplier is a content creator who was spawned of the era of the PewDiePie knockoff and whatnot. 5-star movie? No, but it's a good movie. It's a movie I highly recommend watching. Let me cover this again. I highly recommend watching the movie. Very good film. Coming out at the perfect time. Is it a perfect movie? No. Are you going to enjoy it? Hell yes. It has a lot of gore, has a lot of thriller, has a lot of crazy things. So, his OnlyFans got him famous, guys. Oh yeah, definitely. So, Markiplier was a content creator who rose out of the era of the PewDiePie. PewDiePie doing an Amnesia series back in the day. Markiplier did his own series of Amnesia, and he did some other games as well. He also did the classic Slender games. He was one of the early adopters on Five Nights at Freddy's. Famously, he's labeled himself as the king of Five Nights at Freddy's. He had a very high pressure to be able to succeed at the Freddy's games. He famously cheated at Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And he's dedicated himself to covering horror content and comedy content and whatnot. I used to like his, he used to do the drunk Minecraft stuff. That was fun. That was really fun, but he realized that he couldn't keep drinking. He used to do some Minecraft content, he did horror content, he did comedy content. He does a lot of, like, he's one of the webcam in the corner, face cam streamers. He plays a lot of horror games. He made a series of YouTube videos back when they had the like paid YouTube stuff. He did some experimental content with Heist with Markiplier and In Space with Markiplier, which were basically films that you could do your choose your own adventure film. And he's had experience in the industry before. He decided to get together and utilize his money as a content creator in order to create and fit this film called Iron Lung. Iron Lung is based off of a video game that he got in touch with the actual creator, got the money together, and he stars in it, wrote it, directed it, stars in it, did the editing on the sound engineering and the editing on the video editing himself, and it turned out actually surprisingly good for that, because normally that sort of thing turns out absolutely awful. But most of his popularity was a slow grind from this stuff. One of the things that I highly contribute his popularity to is the fact that, again, he lost monetization on his main channel back in the day and then had a restart from scratch in a way that suddenly you had the wall of his subscribers followed over to the new channel, which bumped him back up in the ranking, that allowed him to get caught up in the initial cycle there. And then after he had that initial sort of push, he was willing and able to carry that on hard, to invest hard into it. He was a marine biologist. He stopped doing the college stuff. He started hard, buckling in and going. And he didn't just do the content creation. He also started taking comedy routine lessons. He started doing actual, acting courses. He started doing things to leverage himself further. He learned how to do editing. He learned how to do graphics. He learned how to do game design, all these different bits and bobs along the way. In working on this, he learned how to do rendering. He learned how to do an actual server farm for rendering and all this other stuff. He has had himself not just luck, because yes, you can have luck, and luck can get you a long way. But he saw that he had luck, and he leveraged it. That is why Markiplier's famous in the first place, because he got lucky and then leveraged that luck into bigger and better things. Because it turns out you don't need to be the luckiest man on Earth. You don't need to be the best man on Earth. You need to be able to get a small amount of luck and leverage that into more and more and more. He had a good, solid support network of people who actually were willing to work with him, and he was willing to reach out and work with other people. He was willing to move where he had to go, do what he had to do, and build himself to a better position. That is why Markiplier is famous. And I'm going to go so far as to say a similar reason is why PewDiePie is famous, because he took a little bit of luck and leveraged it with a lot of skill and a lot of effort. And there's the thing. There is a combination of being in the right place at the right time, mixed with actual genuine effort and being willing to be the man you have to be at the time you have to be in. This movie, Iron Lung, is the best example of why Markiplier was successful, because he is in the right place doing the right thing. This movie is exactly the right movie it needs to be at the exact right time it needs to be. And sometimes that's all you really need to be successful, is to figure out the right place and the right time. And how do you do that? You stack your deck. I've said this time and time again. Time and time again. Life is about luck. But luck is not something that you can't affect. Life is all about luck. And you can stack the deck in your favor. He didn't even have to hang out with Epstein to get famous. Exactly! So that's a bonus too. Life is luck. I've said this before, I'll say it again here for anybody who's coming in just for this stream. Maybe you never see another thing from me ever again. Maybe this is the first thing you've ever seen. Maybe it's the last thing you ever see from me. Do you recommend the movie to people who've never played? Yes. The game's not essential because it's a retelling of the game. You'll get everything you need from it. You can get some more by playing the game yourself and having your own time with it. But I recommend it to anybody. Even if you don't know who the fuck Markiplier is, it's a good game movie, and it's a decent movie, right? It's not the best thing in the world, right? Don't go in expecting, the next Matrix. But just, expect a solid thriller horror type thing with some little cosmic entities and whatnot. But, again, life is at its core a series of checks. It is a bunch of dice. It is a bunch of dice that are being randomly rolled all the time. Or you could say that you're sitting at a table and you have a deck of cards. By default, that deck of cards is stacked horrifically against you. And you are going to be randomly drawing cards. And occasionally something bad will happen, occasionally something good will happen. But you can stack the deck. You can go to college and stack the deck. Your debt will stack against you. The skills you get there will stack in favor of you. A lot of times these days, the stacks against you by going to college is a lot more than the stacks for you, but you're still stacking. Knowing the right people, you can stack that as well. Having money, you can stack that as well. Having talent, you can stack that as well. Any of these things on their own, even all these things together, you can have every single one of these things. You can do literally everything in life right. And let me tell you the big secret here. that a lot of people don't want to fucking accept. You can be the best fucking person on Earth who is the most skilled, has the most talent, has the most things stacked against you, and still lose. You can do everything wrong, be a complete fucking failure, fuck up everything in your life, and still win. You can be a horrific monster and win. You can be a good person and win. You can be a horrific monster and lose. You can be a good person and lose. What is important here is that it's all random, but that doesn't mean you can't affect it. And what people like PewDiePie do, what people like Markiplier do, what people like, again, I'm going to fucking say this, even, yes, the monster that is Epstein do, is they stack their fucking luck. They stack their luck. Whether you're a good person, an evil person, or anything between, you stack your fucking luck if you want to be successful. Because getting that deck as in your favor as possible, it doesn't matter that the rich are going to stack against you. Because I'll tell you something. The rich will stack against you, the poor will stack against you, your friends will stack against you, your family will stack against you. Whether intentional or not, everything will stack against you. You have to be stacking in your own favor. And that's fine. And even if you don't succeed, at the very least, keep fucking stacking. What did Epstein do to get rich? Okay, so, school teacher. He went into finance. He got connections with certain government organizations. And he got in touch with a bunch of people to do the financing stuff. One of the main cores of how to get rich with, like, his style of thing is he's a liar who's fairly smart and has no ethics. Well, he had his own ethics, but you know what I mean. And by having those three combos, he was able to stack his shit in his own favor to act like he was already successful, and then just became successful enough by getting enough people who were already successful to trust him that he could blackmail them. And then he blackmailed enough people that he had enough connections, that he was able to get in the right organizations, to get access to more people, to blackmail more people, to get access to more people. That's how he did it, right? Like, outside of the satanic elements of it, outside of the influential elements, outside of the stuff that'll get me assassinated, that's the core, right? He talked a good game, and he got to know the right people. He did networking. He talked a good game, he had the right lack of ethics, and he got lucky. In a way. There's conversations that can't be had, my friends. There's always conversations that can't be had. But that is about the best way I can describe that stuff, right? The Illuminati is real. What's funny is the Illuminati is real, and there's multiple Illuminatis. Just like there's multiple Masons, there's multiple Templars, there's multiple everything. Multiple churches of Satan, too. But the thing is, right? There is evil in this world. There are organizations that are actively conspiring to set things up. But even with them doing that, you can still succeed, and you can still fail. Even if you have every single evil organization on Earth in your favor, even if you have every evil and good organization on your side, you can still fuck it up. That's the secret, man. You can be the most powerful person on Earth and still fuck it up. And that, honestly, unironically, should be somewhat freeing. Because yes, being born into old money is really fucking helpful. Being born to the right family, having the right connections, is really, really, really fucking helpful, and it'll carry you a long fucking way. Starting out with $1 million is one of the easiest ways to make $1 billion. This is true. This is also why one of the first things you should work on, as somebody who has had kids before, I do not anymore, and I miss them dearly, but as somebody who has had kids before, let me tell you, one of the most important things you can do as a parent is leave money for your kids. Because by figuring out ways to leave money for your kids, you're stacking the deck in their favor, right? You stack the deck in your favor so you can stack the deck in their favor, and generationally, if you set it up appropriately, you're able to get into a position where if you do your parenting right, your kids can have the highest chance of success, right? And anything that takes away generational wealth is a bad fucking idea, because half the damn idea is to stack it in your favor. I know, that's a hot take, that's politics, that's this, that, the other. I'm just telling you my personal opinion as somebody who has gone through the ringer and also an evil villain. I want to remind you I'm evil. Yes, but no one said being evil meant I was wrong. But yeah, no, like, again, if you already know that everything is luck, and everything is stacked, then embrace the luck, rig the luck, set the luck, build the luck, be better, do better, and don't be ashamed if everything fucking fails. Don't be so petrified of the chance of failure that you never do anything. Do you guys think that Iron Lung would have gotten made if Markiplier, from the beginning, just went, well, shit, I'm not going to be able to make videos? Or if he sat on his fucking laurels when he got that initial boost? If he didn't take the chance to build a new channel when he actually lost his initial monetization? If he didn't take the chance to keep streaming through the loss of his dad, through the loss of all this other stuff, right? Through all of these horrible situations, if he just gave up, he could have given up at any one of those points, right? Failure is another step to being successful. One of the things I like to say is, why do you think it's easier to learn when you're a kid? Neuroplasticity is one of those options. Your connection to the actual enzymes in your brain, yes. Your own handling on these things can make it easier. But it's also the fact that when you're a kid, you don't understand how shit you are. Now, that might sound harsh, but when you're a kid, you don't know how bad you are. I'm sorry. When you're an adult, you're going to be sitting there going, oh, fuck, I sound awful. If you're doing art, you're going to be shit for a long time. But have you seen DeviantArt before it, when it actually had art? There were kids who were posting the worst shit imaginable, and they're just complimenting themselves. They're complimenting each other. They're so happy, and they're still working on it. And a lot of those artists who were dog shit back in the day got really fucking good because they didn't understand they were bad. They just kept working. Because it turns out, if you're confident enough to keep working and keep failing, and yet not so overconfident that you don't learn from your failures, boom. You need to fail. Everybody needs to fail. It's one of the things that pisses me off about this idea that we just carry people along, that we allow people to succeed no matter what. Because if somebody can't fail, they can't learn. The man who has failed 20,000 times knows more than the man who has never failed. Ever. The man who's been successful the first time every time knows less than the man who has failed millions and millions of times, but just not gave up. If you want to make a movie, start making little shit. And it's going to be awful. Understand that it's awful. Watch a lot of stuff. Understand a lot of stuff. Don't watch a lot of stuff. Just do something. Try. And fail. And be ready to fucking fail. Surrounding yourself with the right people also helps. There's a classic fucking statement, right? There is a classic statement. And it's one that holds true. Even if it was recently said by the #1 content creator. When I was little, I was a horrible kid and I grew up on 4chan. Hey, I was also the Chans. I will forgive you for being a part of half-chan. 8chan was better. And also, I feel completely vindicated knowing that Epstein created Poll. Knowing that Epstein created the Poll board has vindicated me so fucking much, chat. Holy shit! Knowing that Epstein helped make Reddit and Poll has vindicated me so fucking much. So fucking much. I feel vindicated, baby! Oh, man. Yeah, no, like, whether you're horrible or good or bad or anything, like, doing something will get you into a better spot to be able to do what you want to do. We're surrounding yourself... Sorry, to finish my statement from earlier, which is a statement that I'm taking from a content creator that I can't remember... I should know his name. I've watched his videos. He did the backwards truck. He was #1 content creator of the year, this most recent big, like, convention center thing. He's got, like, 5 million subscribers. He does the car content stuff. He's a bigger man. He's like he does a redneck garage. But he said specifically, his mother would always tell him that in order to be successful, you need to remember that if you're the smartest man in a room, you're in the wrong room. You never want to be the smartest man in a room. You want to be around people who are smarter than you. You want to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, who know things, and ask them. You want to be the dumb man in the room so you can ask these questions and you can be lifted up. And that's part of the problem I think we have with the carry people behind. The No Child Left Behind stuff. We need to, like, make one dumb person in a room full of smart people. Because if you have enough smart people there, the dumb person's going to get carried up just by the fact that he's going to be surrounded by that shit, and he's going to be lifted up a little bit higher. Weston Champlin, yes! Would we have Pippa if she failed to join Hololive? Of course not. No, we wouldn't. Would we have America if nobody failed? No! Fuck no. Would we have the automobile? No. Would we have any major investment? Would we have penicillin if somebody didn't fail to keep track of their food? No. It is the failures along the way that build the greatest successes. Every single failure is an opportunity to move forward. If Markiplier hadn't failed his channel, he wouldn't have eventually made Iron Lung, right? Because even when you fail, even when you falter, even when you fall, even when everything goes against you, even with an entire world stacked against you, you can still succeed. Will you succeed? Not always. Are you going to turn out on top? Not always. Is life going to be easy? Hell no. Life fucking hurts. Life fucking sucks. I know. I really know. I really fucking know how much life hurts. But you keep going, and you build yourself, and you grow, and you learn, and you grow, and you learn, and you grow like a fucking mold. Like a fucking mold on the inside of the Iron Lung! I agree with your last stat, statement. In Norway, we have a unity school policy. A decent idea in theory. In reality, the problem is kids behave like crabs in a bucket, dragging the smarter ones down. Well, that's why you need, like, majority of them the smart, and 1 or 2 dumb kids. There's a threshold that you actually have to be hitting, right? You need to make sure there are only the barest minimum of the dumbs surrounded by smart people. You need to make sure there's plenty of smart people. You need to have these smart people in smart environments that allow them to do these things, and you need to be able to encourage people to be willing to fail. You need people to fail. You will learn more from a failure than you ever will from a success. I can guarantee you that if Iron Lung had been a complete failure, Markiplier would learn more than just it being a success, right? You fill a room with dumb people and let them decide the strongest? Well, the problem is, and here's the thing, right? If you have a room full of dumb people and you put one smart person into it, the smart person's going to be dumbed down. Unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, if you have a room full of dumb people and you put a smart person in it, they'll be dumber. Just by the nature of how it works. It's sad. It's sad. The majority will affect the minority. The minority will not affect the majority. Once you hit a certain threshold, though, certain things start to happen. There is a lot of difficulty. And there's a lot of confusion as well that happens through this stuff. And life does this shit over and over again. So fucking constantly. Holy shit. I was in a class where we had 3 developmentally challenged people. It affected us to a degree. Well, yeah, and again, if you had just one, despite the fact that they're going to be lonely, then you'd at least only have one, and it'd be easier to influence and lift them up. Easier, not easy. And you also have to understand, like, where are you going in terms of your audience? Where are you going in terms of your goals here? If you have a room full of 20 people, how many dumb people do we need to over on the smart people? I would honestly say, like, I am not a psychologist, but I know psychologists, and I ask them questions. Okay, here's the thing. I sound smart because I ask way too many fucking questions. You know that, chat? I ask questions all the fucking time, to the point that it pisses off people, and I lose friends. And I talk constantly, too. because I'm listening as well as asking. And I've gotten the impression that if you have, like, more than 4, you can kind of overrun the smart people. Although that said, I will be honest with you, chat. I will be honest with you. It's funny sometimes how some smart people can sit and manipulate a group of dumb people that is hundreds of times larger than them into thinking that they are definitely not. You know what I mean? Basically getting the dumb people to forget that they outnumber them. That's a thing as well. It's a very common thing. Oh, man. Oh, man. We also had a class where half of us were national champion in various sports and some real brainiacs. Me, I just memorized my books at the start of the year and coasted the rest of the year. Cough, cough, America. Cough, cough, the world at large. The world at large. Not just America. The entire world. It's, man. Man. There are things I want to say, chat. Did you know that there are things I want to fucking say? That I desperately want to fucking say? There are many things that I feel a deep-seated need to say, and I fucking can't, and it hurts. Beep. Beep. But what I'm saying at the end of the day with all of this is a message of just trying to pass out hope here, trying to let you guys understand, deep down, whether you guys are successful, seeing other people succeed should not just be something that gets you frustrated. Fire alarm beeps. It should not just be something that gets you frustrated. It should be something that motivates you towards action, right? Beep. 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 Trying to make the plebs equal drags everyone down? Yes. Instead of trying to make the plebs equal, how about you actually just help the plebs be better plebs? You know what I mean? I think, like, a better idea than making plebs equal is helping plebs be comfortable, helping them be happy, helping them find their niche. And if some people rise above the status of pleb, hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Like, don't keep them down. Don't, like, actively hurt them. Don't, like, actively fucking chop them in half and then eat their internal organs. But, you know, help them be better in their spot. Help people be able to be happy as cogs. Be happy in their position in the world, you know? Make people into a better spot. And I'm not just saying that because I'm horrifically evil. I am evil! Remember that. Oh, I see you bouncing. Hold on. Yeah. Look at him! Oh, look at him go. No, he rolled off my hat! No! Oh, fie. That's sad. That's sad. But yeah, no. I think we pretty much covered. I think we pretty much covered everything I really wanted to cover with it, right? Iron Lung is in a good spot. It is exactly the game we need at exactly the time we need. And I think we need more Iron Lung. Exactly the game, exactly the movie we need at the exact time we need. I think really, you guys should check it out. And I don't just say that because I want to screw over Disney. Holy shit, I hope we got enough people watching it to screw over Disney. I mean, you could easily turn it into an anime, yeah. Well, I mean, a single OVA. Like, the movie itself, right? It works really well because, again, one of the big things that I like about it is the simple fact that, in this movie... Wait! Grumpy! You remember Galaxy Quest? Do you remember? By Grabthaw's hammer, what a savings. You remember Galaxy Quest? You gotta. I'm gonna kick your ass if you don't. I will beat you, you elderly man. Okay, remember in Galaxy Quest how the set, to make it more realistic, they actually threw people around on the set using a platform. Iron Lung, the movie, did that same thing, but they had the platform throw around a set that was full of blood. They filled the set with fake blood and threw it around. So they had a platform that had to be able to support a set that was filled with like fake human blood, while also tossing things to the left and to the right, to the front and to the back. The platform in any scene where the ship is ascending or descending, they actually have the set at the angle. It's not the camera. The entire set is adjusted. The entire fucking set is adjusted. It is insane. And they did it with a set full of liquid. It's the amount of stuff that they did in a way that they didn't have to. Use a gambling system? I forget the exact system that they used there, but they had the like shifting arms, and apparently it was a real pain in the ass to get it right, because did you guys know that having the Guinness Book of World Records...
Boss, we have a little problem with our own Ironlung machine, but don't worry, Cthulhu is still shacked, only Gunther 243 lost one arm.
How is that bullying? How is that bullying? How is that bullying, Twitch? That's not bullying. Don't worry. Cthulhu. Iron Lung is the name of the submersible. For anyone who's curious. It is a single-person submersible that the operators welded into. But it's... the amount of practical effects they did instead of CGI was really good. And when the CGI is used, I'm glad they didn't use it as much as they did. I'm glad they didn't use it as much as they could have, right? I really am glad they didn't use it nearly as much. Ooh, Task Force Admiral. Add that to my wish list, hell yeah. I do think that Markiplier's work really shines through. I've been very much a fan of Markiplier for many years now. Even when I was first getting started out, well, not first getting started out in my content, but when I was getting back into content, he was very good, and we're gonna have one of those moments here, chat, but I want to get this off my chest, and I'd like to apologize in advance for trauma dumping or what have you, but when I lost my fiance and I lost my kids, right, I lost everything in rapid order, and it hurt a lot. And being able to watch the 3 Scary Games videos, being able to watch a lot of these, being able to watch a lot of this content, being able to watch a lot of these creators, it helped me not give in, you know? Because I lost my brother, then I lost my fucking kids, I lost my fucking fiance in just like rapid fire, just bam, 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 bam. And to just be hit again and again and again and again when I was already down. And then to lose my fucking house at the time. On top of that, I was at a dark fucking place. And I still am, to a degree, right? But I've got a place that I stay now, and being able to watch things, like again, like the 3 Scary Games videos were always really nice, and going through like a lot of his old content. I rewatched so many of those old videos. I rewatched a lot. Markiplier is one of those creators who I'm biased towards. But there was Markiplier, there's PewDiePie, and I even watched a bit of Jacksepticeye at the time, because it was just, I needed something to kind of just distract. And yeah. Yeah. We're good. We're good. We're good. But I have to say that his ability to keep continuing on, and the ability of a lot of creators. There was also Lucagen at the time, and I remember a bit later there's Runaway Guys. And Grimmith. Holy shit, Grimmith's content was great. He's a small creator, but he's fucking amazing. And all those creators, like, seeing people who were making things, seeing people who were doing the Something Awful forums back in the day as well, and, like, yeah, the Let's Play forums as well. seeing all these different groups, all these different people doing all these different, like, bits of content, and being able to take video gaming and... Fuck. Take it and make content that they were actually happy with, that people wanted to watch, you know? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're good. Markiplier's like your girl. Someone whose content took your mind someplace. Yeah. He can be, kind of. There's a few people like that. And, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I may need to wrap, but I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not letting my mind wander. We're good. We're good. We're talking about film. We're having a good time. We're hanging out. I'm good. I'm good. That was just a very rough time in my life. And it's one that I keep going back to. Didn't stub my toe while going to the bathroom. That's the first time for everything, right? But yeah, no, to circle back around. And to focus hard on my core thesis here. I think we need more movies like Iron Lung. We need more people who are willing to make low budget, good quality content that they can put together with a small team who's paid very well. Because the crazy thing with Markiplier here is that he hired them proper union, he paid them well, he worked with them, he did everything he needed to make it work, right? And I'm gonna level with you. That is something that is a fucking miracle. Right? Somebody actually willing to put out the extra work, willing to actually do what has to be done in a way that is not just check in, clock in, get my money, get my mansion, go out the other side, right? That stuff, it takes something, you know? It takes something. I'm genuinely really, really happy that this movie exists. And while I have problems with some of the pacing, while I have problems with some of the editing, while I have problems with some of the acting, right? When I have problems with a lot of things in it, I still really fucking like this movie. And it makes me happy. It really does. I'm sorry, guys. I am probably going to need to hop out here. My head's wandering too much. I do appreciate everybody who decided to tune in here to listen to a madman ramble about a wonderful movie made by a lovely content creator. I think the pacing at the start was slow. Well, the slow pacing at the start, I will say before we go, right? And this might start me off into a tangent on here. The slow pacing, I didn't feel it was slow. I felt it was exactly what it needed to be, you know? I felt that it was exactly what it needed to be, and I liked it. I was waiting for it to be slow because I had been told in advance. Because I had been told in advance that it would... Hold on, what? Why are we still listed as 1 minute subscribers? Hold on. Who set that back to that? Who the fuck set it back to that? I was told in advance that it's like, oh, it's a slow opening and it builds out later, right? I was told that at first. And I waited for it to be slow, and then I got to the bit where it was fast. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess looking back at it, the bit that was slow was all the way back here. Because, like, they do there is a lot of what I think a lot of people see as, like, slow, meandering pacing, or a pacing that is 1 to a million. Like, in retrospect, yeah, you can notice where it goes, like, harsh. But I do think that even with the slower pace, because I was expecting a sort of thriller thing, and because I was expecting it to be even slower, I think it really just kind of let me get into the world, get into the setting, get into that mindset. And I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting it to keep escalating, because as soon as you think it has hit maximum speed, it has not. It's going to keep going and 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 going, and then you're just like, please make it stop, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. And it just never does. To its detriment and to its benefit. It is a slow burn till it's not. Tor. It is a slow burn for the first, like, 20 minutes, and then you feel just fucking guilty for thinking it was slow when you just look nostalgic back to everything before, and you're looking at everything else, and you're like, okay, fuck. And then it slows down for a bit, but you still don't feel like it's slowed. And you're sitting there, and you're staring into the distance like, oh, fuck. We're here. This is where we are. This is where we are. This is where we are. Okay. And then they implement, like, it gets a little muddy near the end. It really gets a little muddy near the end. The ending's still good, right? Luckily, the bit that muddies and gets confusing and whatnot is over fairly fast, right? And again, I'll watch the movie, like, 5 times. I can see myself watching it 5 times easy. Probably not more than about 6 times. Because this is a movie that I think the second watch, I'll definitely get a little bit slower on it. I really do recommend watching it in theaters if at all possible. I know they're planning on doing a European release. Markiplier and his team are planning on doing a European release, a JP release. They're trying to get a bunch of translations out there, get what they can out there. I think they already did some theaters in England. In England. Yeah, no, all of Europe, that's England, baby. All of Europe is England. No. All of Europe is Germany. Very different. But no, I do think I recommend watching it in theaters. I still want to see what the movie would be like if you watched it in black and white, though. I want to know, if you did the proper, like, color grading for black and white, would it be a better film? I think there's a strong possibility. You know that? I genuinely think that there is a strong possibility that Iron Lung would be a better film in black and white, with proper color grading. Now, either way, thank you guys for tuning in. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. Thank you for dropping in to listen to 3 hours of me rambling about a film that I actually pretty enjoyed. I'm gonna take some time to think about some stuff, because I shouldn't... I hate to say that I shouldn't talk about the stuff that hurts, because it feels bad not to, but every time I try to talk about it, that shit almost fucking breaks me. And we're here for entertainment. We're not here for, you know, some old guy just falling apart because he misses his kids. I want to say that I very much appreciate every single one of you guys. I genuinely do. Missed my chance on the one here. The theater only did 3 screenings. Oh, jeez. Well, you should try and, like, reach out where you can. Try and find out. I do highly recommend it, even if you have to travel a little bit. I wouldn't travel more than, like, hour and a half to see it, right? I'd say personal on there. But you can make your own decisions on there. Anyway, thank you guys and take care. Enjoy the outro music. Book's going well. Book's going well.